Hello, hello, good evening. Thank you for the pet. Tapping into the game when I've actually already loaded up a save file makes it look very weird because we stopped on a black screen almost. Hold on, there we go. Now we have sound. That's an improvement. I legitimately have no idea where we stopped playing this game. Like, 100%, I have no idea. It sounds like it's close to, or it's probably the big thing they were preparing for, where they're supposed to be singing. I think that's where we stopped. I think that's why I stopped there as well, because I was like, oh, well, that's probably going to be a big scene and everything, so I didn't want us to be stuck in the middle of that exact scene. And then I didn't play the game for like 3 weeks, I feel like. Evening! A happy new year to you too! I hope you think well. Oh my goodness. Finally. It's a little late, but I'm also I have a guide for this game open, right? Where it's like, oh, here's all the choices we need to make. I don't remember where we're at. We'll just jump right into it. We'll see how well it goes with me reading. Because I feel like that cold left some pretty deep impressions with me coughing. So it's a little annoying, but we'll get through it. A line from Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea, which I've never read, personally. It doesn't come to mind because I've got time to spare. Quite the opposite, in fact. Yeah, we stopped right before the big singing scene. There we go. That was good timing, actually. For some reason, there are times when I think or say the exact opposite of what I'm truly feeling. It's generally when I'm nervous. When I'm feeling sick with nerves, I'll casually ask for a drink with the most relaxed of expressions. When faced with some annoyance, I'll smile and cry that things are getting interesting. Faced with an audience eagerly awaiting our entrance to the stage, my body is startlingly cold and rigid, like I've turned into a block of ice. And it's not just regular stage fright. The moment when I'll settle my feelings for nearly once and for all is fast approaching. Well, settling your feelings or actually telling her about it? A soft voice comes from behind me. Seeing my best friend dressed in her white gown serves only to heighten my anxiety even further. She is. A gasp escapes my lips. Her golden hair shimmers next to the white fabric. Even in this extravagant get-up, she remains as elegant and refined as ever. Sorry, 1 second. My chair is stuck in a place I don't want it to be stuck in. There we go. Hey, Sally. Good evening.
そんな感情は母親の腹の中に忘れてきたよ。
Again, the complete opposite of reality. No matter how badly I want to break down and voice my fears, I always put on the mask of the stout and wavering Tin Woodsman. Game's been great. It's a lovely game. I just haven't played it in a while.
いつからかしら。え？あなたが私に本当を見せてくれなくなったのは。
I don't know what you mean. The words are whispered directly into my ear, but my brain still can't register the fact that she's embracing me. It's like I'm caught up in a daydream. She wraps her arms tightly around me and pats me on the head like I'm a child before affectionately stroking my hair.
ネリー、私では頼りないかもしれないけど、たまには体を預けてくれてもいいの。
Her smile is infinitely open and accepting. She pulls back from me and flashes a mischievous smile like she's once more the girl from my childhood. Then she extends a pale, delicate hand.
ゆずりは、手を出して。
To be fair, like the entirety of like the end of last year, I didn't stream a lot overall. So even if it hasn't been during your work, it just might have been like technically this is only like our fourth or fifth stream. I just didn't get anywhere with it. Despite liking it. I love these games. I hesitantly reach my own trembling hand towards hers.
Akashio.
You just got back, right? From Japan. You finally got to see snow for the first time, didn't you? She gives my hand, although it remains stiff in hers.
なんだ、ゆずりはは子供の頃から変わらないわ。ここぞという時に育児がない。
Snow is great. It's kind of wild to me. The whole there's people who have never seen snow in their life, because I have snow right outside my window right now. It had minus 12 degrees last night. It's cold as fuck.
もっとしっかり私の手を握って。
I try to do as she says, but my hand is strangely numb, like the blood stopped flowing through it.
握手の作法よ。
I do.
ゆずりは。私たちが
I'm glad to
友
hear
達
his
になった
names.
時のことを覚えている？
Of course I do.
きちんと友達になるにはしっかりとした握手をしなくちゃいけない。
Hand holding in my Yuri game. Right. Ever since that moment, no, since even before then, I've
こんなに頼りになる友達がそばにいるのだもの。何も怖がることはない。平気でしょ。
No, we get a little bit of everything. January is generally like when it gets the coldest. Around Christmas time, we don't really get too much snow, if we even get snow, and then January just hits you in the face, like really showing off. Like, boom, cold! Lewdest part of the damn game!
ああ、早く歌いたくてしょうがない。
The ice in my veins has melted. I clasp her hand back, returning a firm grip.
さあ、歌いましょう、ゆずりは。私たちの
Actual hand holding and not just a handshake we keep pretending is hand holding. The light piano accompaniment starts playing. The notes slowly but surely lead me back into the past to when I was young. Our duet begins. Nini's voice starts out soft, gradually gaining in volume until it fills the auditorium. All eyes are fixed on her, entranced by her singing.
さあ、
I joined in with my alto part, creating a perfect harmony, finding a fine balance between drowning her out and being overshadowed by her clear
母が
silver
私
song.
へと聞かせ、私がネリーへと伝え教えた曲。
流される雲が今消えかけてる覗いた太陽をそっと描く
Rainbow magic. I once asserted that Nini was one of those people who have music in their veins.
やはり私のネリーは
She's been chosen by the music. The amazing thing about her singing is how her voice paints a picture. It's like those who listen and lulled into a deep sleep, awakening later to find they've left just a tiny piece of their soul behind in the dream world. As for me,
彼女が歌うたびに心が幼い頃に引き戻されていく。引き波が足をさらい、深い海へと誘うように。
episodes of The Great Tale, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz rise up through the swell. Dorothy swept up house and all and carried on the wings of a hurricane. Yet she felt no fear. The more time passed, the calmer she felt, like she was being rocked in a cradle. I've been worn down by the many changes I've endured.
最初の同行者、カカシ
A little awkward with it being voiced sometimes and not all the time. I hadn't felt any amusement when he'd asked to accompany her on a trip in order to... Instead, I felt a confusion that bordered on fear at how easily Dorothy had permitted him to join her. For the Scarecrow was a life-changing decision. In just a few minutes, new encounters and stories were opened up to him, just like my meeting with Nina and Komikano.
そして次は私だ。
Tin Woodsman rusted and stuck in place. He said he wanted to go with Dorothy to the Emerald City to get the heart he had lost from the wizard. During the year I stood there, I had time to think that the greatest loss I had now was the loss of my heart. No one can love who has not a heart. I have no real sense of self. I'm just a tin doll planted with the hopes of my mother and father.
最後に臆病ライオン。
In anguish at his own cowardice, the lion begged to join Dorothy and her companions so that he could ask the wizard for courage. Like the lion, Neri Nekomikado is hiding her own cowardice, her own inner feelings. She's never attempted to reveal them. The lion said, "It doesn't make me any braver, and as long as I know myself to be a coward, I shall be unhappy." She knows she bears a sin, and she'll do whatever it takes to keep it hidden. I don't believe she does it out of malice, but simple cowardice. And what's so bad about cowardice? Everyone has things they lack the courage to say, to act upon. Which is why I...
怯えないように済むよう彼女の目になりたい。
My father once told me that Vincent van Gogh's eyes saw color differently. The painter sees the world a little differently, in more vibrant hues than the rest of us. Perhaps she sees a completely different world to me. My pie is an upright, cowardly best friend. In her eyes, she sings with all her heart. How does she see me? This woman I love. She forced back her cowardice to clasp hold of my hand. She looked out for me in front of all these people. When we were young, she was my hero. And then one day, I had to be hers. But
あの時からずっと変わっていない。
since the day when we exchanged that handshake, Hi Humpy, good evening. Good, yeah, no, those bubbles were real, definitely. The final note is swallowed up by the hall. After a brief pause, one clap turns into a thunderous applause.
譲り
上々だ。
I look into a mesmerizing Saladin eyes. Then we both face the audience and bow deeply. Alliteration rains down upon us again. Doing it!
したいことがあるんだ。
Doing it! I tell in a low voice meant only for her ears. I'm sure she heard me. Puzzlement briefly marks her features. But I can't repeat it again. The nuance would be lost. Raising my hand to my adoring public, I look out at the lights like the face of the moon, peeking from between the clouds, and bow again. I think that's going to break my heart. I don't fully remember this game. So I think whatever's going to happen next is going to break my heart. It's just like back then, I think. Standing beneath Christ on the cross, summoned here so that Dingo Sasaki could confess to me. However,
状況は近しいが、立場が違う。
this time we're the ones. I'm the one who's called her here, and I'm the one who's going to confess. I will whisper my love to Nini Neko Mikado. When I think of the words I'm about to say, it feels almost bafflingly unreal. I've always done my best to keep these feelings hidden. I thought I was fine just being friends, keeping her as my closest friend, the one person to whom I could open up my heart. But
彼女たちが私を変えた。
you who had been summoned by sign summoned the younger girl who admitted her feelings for me despite knowing they wouldn't be reciprocated. Dingo Sasaki who openly confessed her love for me. Those girls gave me the push I needed.
人生はチョコレートの箱。開けてみるまではわからない。
This time the quote that comes to mind is from Forrest Gump rather than Amelie, because while Amelie's words gave me resolve, they offer no comfort when I think of her, pious, faithful Christian. Startled by the sound of the heavy chapel door opening, I cower. Even in the darkness, I'm captivated by her hair like golden weave, her porcelain skin, her tender gaze. Now,
ネリー、
as she approaches, I see her eyes are wary, as though she already has some sense of what's about to take place here. That look dampens my resolve.
こんな夜更けにどうしたのゆずりは。
But I have to tell her, no passing it off as wanting to look up at the stars this time.
合唱会の祝杯を二人であげたかったんだよ。誰にも邪魔されないところでね。
祝杯ぶどう酒はどこかしら。
Technically somewhere behind you, it should be locked in there. She's being silly, maybe because we're standing in front of an image of Christ himself, but I can tell, even without looking her in the eye, that she's forcing it.
昔を思い出したよ。
ええ、子供の頃ゆずりはと一緒によく歌ったわ。
僕にとって虹の魔法は母を思い出す特別な曲だ。
It reminds you of Lauren soundtracks. My best friend's face contorts bitterly. She knows what I went through with my mother's death. Oh, mother's dead! Oh. Oh. Did they mention that before? Or did I... Oh. She looks at me with pain and sadness written across her face, and I thank her.
舞台袖で勇気をくれたことさ。あの日と同じように握手をしてくれた。
ゆずりは。
僕と君が初めて互いを互いに知った日だ。
News to you! We know she has a brother, but I don't think they mentioned that the mom died.
遠足の時
Maybe it was implied somewhere and I just missed it.
忘れたことはなかったわ。
The way she smiles makes my chest ache, but I force myself to smile back.
初めて出会った時、
どうしたの？昔のことばかり話すのね。
今が満たされていないと昔を懐かしむのさ。ネリー、僕はね、 君に救われたんだよ。
譲り葉？
君と出会う前の僕は何者でもなかった。自分というものを持っていなかったんだ。
そんなこと。
I shake my head.
ネリーも分かっていたはずだ。だから僕へ手を差し伸べてくれた。君にとっては何気ない親切心だったかもしれないけど、僕にとってそれは色のない世界が初めて鮮やかに映った瞬間だったんだ。
It's like I'm delirious with fever. The emotions boil within me, steam up my throat, and spill from my lips in an unstoppable stream of words.
二人で初めて遊びに行った時のことも、食べ歩きをしていて脅されそうになったことも、ネリーの家に初めてお呼ばれしたことも、全てが私にとって特別だった。
私にとっても譲り葉と共に過ごした日は特別だったわ。
I cut her off, telling her she's wrong. My version of special isn't the same as hers. Her eyes wave as I take her hand in mine, which is trembling so violently it's almost funny.
初めて出会った時はそばかすが残る三つ編みの少女だった。その時から恋している。
At last, I feel like I'm speaking the truth for the first time in my life. At first her eyes widen and she blinks like she can't believe what she's hearing. Then she looks up at the image of Christ behind me and her eyes darken.
譲り葉？
I can tell from the tone of her voice she's...
まるで底の空いた船だ。
like a pessimistic captain just waiting for a ship to go down.
ネリー！
ダメ。
Anticipating my next desperate move, she turns her face away.
そうか。それが君の答えなんだね。
My heart feels like it's being scraped out of my chest with a butter knife. The agony of rejection builds to desperation.
私はネリネのことが。
Leaning in, I try to capture her lips again. Well, maybe you shouldn't... Oh.
ごめんなさい。
She can't bring herself to finish the sentence. It's plain to me from the way she looks up at the image of Christ in the stained glass window as she leaves. As a devout Christian, Nerina Komikado cannot fall in love with anyone.
分かっていた。
Oh no, it definitely
分かっ
was.
ていたさ。
Like, her
そんなことは。
going in for the kiss again? No. That's not gonna fix it. I knew that her faith wouldn't allow her to accept me. And yet,
告白しなければ私の心は張り裂けていただろう。
it's no exaggeration to say that my feelings for her could no longer be contained, but all I feel now is a regret so powerful it's crushing my chest and making it hard for me to breathe. If only I hadn't told her, everything could continue on as it was. Except you would absolutely destroy yourself.
困ったら靴のかかとを3回鳴らして。
Words from the wonderful Wizard of Oz. They floated through my mind during the choral contest as I journeyed back into the past. I wanted those silver slippers, the ones that could transport me to my mother's side in an instant, no matter how far away we moved. And in that book which I'd read together with Needy, she took those slippers and... oh, they did mention the mom being sick a lot. And her and the dad kept moving, but they did not say she died. At some point I must have crouched down on the ground. Now I raise my heavy head at the sound of footsteps. For a moment I thought that Needy has come back to me warms my frozen heart.
リンゴ。
Except that's not Needy. She looks down at me with the most pained expression, and it hits me that I'm completely and utterly alone. There's no safe harbor for me here anymore. Looking into my eyes, she takes a breath. Oh. Then she pulls me into her arms, pressing her body against mine.
リンゴ。
Senpai.
She caresses my cheek, then my head, like she's comforting her own child. While her hand is too tiny to remind me of my mother, I can feel the same intent to console me.
いいんだ。もうやめてくれ。
私はあなたを拒絶したりはしない。
Those are the words. Those are the words my hollow, worthless self always wanted to hear.
佐々木りんごは八代ゆずりはのすべてを。
I accept you. Those words are like music to my ears, a balm for my bruised heart. And I realize that the yearning I've kept inside all these years is gone, fading away into the dark and the silence without a goodbye. Ah, pain. Clouds have been hanging low over my gloomy mind with no sign of lifting. Shortly after I started elementary school, I was hospitalized with pneumonia. In my sickly state, my eyes wouldn't show me reality as it truly was. Everything was hazy, as though I was seeing the world through rotten glass. My surroundings were indistinct, ambiguous. I was aware only of the sharp needle of the IV piercing the back of my hand. Things feel similar now. Clouded vision and a distinct pain. Just like when I watched Nini Komikado carry Yatsushita-senpai on her back, sharp pain and a haze over everything. I felt terrible that she'd badly sprained her ankle because of me, but it hurt even worse to witness her happiness. When I close my eyes, I again see her giving herself up to my embrace like a child to her mother. Sparks of jealousy set a fire raging in my chest. I have become hopelessly twisted inside. I am incapable of being happy for the person I love. As autumn approached its end, I heard from my sister that Yatsushita-senpai was laid up in bed with a cold. I resolved that this time I'd actually pay her a visit, but
お見舞いは断っているんだって。
just like when she sprained her ankle, she was turning away all well wishes. According to my sister, it was because if she let even one person see her, she'd be inundated with a flood of visitors. It made sense. I must have looked disappointed
リン
because
ゴが好きそうなお話があるんだ。
she told me of the rumors that were circulating. The Wandering Wendigo of the Woods, one of the rumored 7 mysteries of the Academy. I'd heard the name before, but it was only recently that actual sightings had started to be reported. Knowing my love of all things spooky, she dragged me out to look for it. And knowing that she was doing it for my sake, I wanted the woods with her, even though my world was still just shades of grey. The trees' colourful leaves were falling, the branches starting to look lonely and bare. I couldn't help but think back on when we'd gone leaf viewing. Begging chewiness, I trampled through the piles of crunchy leaves until my world suddenly opened up.
リンゴくんじゃないか。
Yatsushiro-senpai smiled at me, and I saw it clearly. She made me laugh with her usual jokes, and the pain that had been tormenting me faded away. There was a distinct undercurrent to Yatsushita-senpai's banter, an implication that she could see through my facade. It's something I was able to spot because I had been acting the same way toward my sister. While what she held within her was different to mine, honed to precision, my happiness in finding out we had something in common had outweighed the guilt. As talk of the Wendigo spread, another rumor sprung up that the choral contest would be temporarily postponed. However, a statement was issued by the faculty stating that the Wendigo was simply a misidentified wild animal. I would still be able to see why can I not say her name today? Yatsushiro-senpai sing. Knowing this, I was anticipating the day of the choral contest, but I looked forward to it with an equal degree of trepidation. I'd heard that she would be singing the final song of the performance as a duet together with Nini Komikado. The duet resonated within me, but their voices brought back the pain in my heart, which fractured like light through coarse glass. I felt it would expose the same aspects that were present when I suffered from pneumonia as a child. Still, I wanted resolution, and because of that conviction, I was able to face up to myself, my vision clear and unclouded, however much my chest still ached. The choral contest was over. After checking that my sister was asleep, I slipped out to Yatsushiro-senpai's room, wanting to finally hear her answer. However, I happened to catch her leaving. I was about to call out to her, but I stopped when I saw something familiar in her expression. Feeling as though I somehow knew where this was going, I quietly followed behind her as she made her way down the corridor. Oh, that's how she came upon them. Sure enough, she passed through the heavy doors to the chapel, and after her came Nini Komikado. Looking up at the sky above, I imagined what was happening within the chapel. But I had no need for speculation. I knew from the look on my face. It was the same look that I had worn when I slipped out of the Halloween party and confessed to her. Picking a star in the sky, I focused all my anguish on it, until I realized that it was blinking. Although the stars operate on a different time scale, their brilliance changes, like how a candle flame will flicker and dim in a breeze and burn bright in the moment before it's extinguished. How long did I gaze up at the star to distract myself? The sound of footsteps rushing away brought me back to Earth, and I looked toward the chacal. The bright blonde hair stood out even against the profound dark. Ninina Komikado had fled.
Shiro senpai.
Before I knew it, my feet were carrying me inside the building. I guessed what had happened from the aura Komikado-senpai had carried with her through the darkness, but Itsushiro-senpai looked terribly fragile, crumpled before the image of Christ on the cross. When I witnessed her being carried by Komikado-senpai, I'd been assailed by emotions that had no outlet, and I knew that they'd never find one, no matter how much I yearned. And yet, seeing her in that fragile state, some wicked part of me whispered that perhaps this was my chance. Perhaps the flower of illicit love that had bloomed between them would prove to be my way in. A compassionate urge to console her fought the wicked desire to take advantage of her in her weakened state. Those emotions quickly darkened my heart like a sudden summer rain on asphalt.
私はあなたを拒絶したりはしない。
It's nice that you accept me. I would love subtitles for this scene.
八代ゆずり派のすべてを受
Just
け入れ
saying.
ます。
I know we just saw the scene itself, but like, subtitles would still be nice.
オズの魔法使いという童話がある。魔法使いに会うためエメラルドの町へと急ぐドロシーたち。カカシは脳みそをもらうために、臆病なライオンは勇気をもらうために、ブリキの木こりは
I think some scenes just didn't have text in any boxes originally, so they weren't able
カ
to
ンザスへ
translate
と帰
any.
るため町へと続く黄色いレンガの道を進む。
Correctly answered test at the end.
町へ続く道を進むも幾度も困難に阻まれる。崖に阻まれ、熊の体と虎の頭を持つ化け物に襲われ、大きな川を渡る童貞で取り残された哀れなカカシ。ヒナゲシの花の好奇による睡魔に倒れる臆病なライオン。これらの困難に知恵と勇気ある行動、慈悲を持って乗り越えていく。そしてようやくエメラルドの町へと着き、ついにオズと面会することが叶う。一日に一人しか面会を許さぬというオズは、ドロシーには大きな頭だけの異形の姿で、カカシにはこの上なく美しい婦人の姿に、ブリキの木こりには世にも恐ろしい怪物の姿をとり、臆病なライオンには猛々しく燃える炎の玉となって現れた。オズは願いを叶える代わりに皆へ横島な西の魔女を殺すことを命じたのだ。私はその理不尽な要求よりも何にでも変化できるオズを羨ましいとも悲しいとも思った。見る者によって様々に変わる姿、それは決して本当の姿を知られず、本当の自分を知ることもないのではないかと。これから始まる物語は、己の姿と心すら知らぬ愚昧な娘のお話。
Will Yuzuriya ever not talk badly about herself in this game? Probably not. Chapter 5 The Wizard of the Emerald City. A bit of coffee prickles my tongue as I think of my best friend, the girl who confessed her love to me. Yuzuriya Yatsushiro had laid bare her previously concealed feelings for me with an imploring gaze that took me back to when we first met. And then, upon reading my reaction, her eyes As I place the cup down on the desk with a sigh, my gaze falls on the book beside
オ
it.
ズの魔法使い。
The book we'd obsessed over as children, on that fateful school trip. It wasn't out of kindness that I became friends with her. Even as a child, it was undoubtedly self-interest that spurred me to make friends with a girl who was always on her own. Because I had to be the good, well-mannered. It's not that I myself was motivated to be good, I simply did all the usual good deeds that normal people do. If a classmate came dashing over to me saying they'd forgotten a textbook, I'd lend them mine. If I saw trash on the floor, I'd pick it up. The little things that anyone would do. But I was raised up and praised for these perfectly natural acts. Being a good girl wasn't something I wanted for myself, it was expected by those around me. It was probably related to my appearance. I was aware that I looked gentle and approachable. It may be an arrogant thing to say about myself, but I doubt people could begin to imagine someone as angelic looking as me doing anything immoral. And not the fact that was my father. Of course, any child of such a devout, God-fearing man could only ever possess the most exemplary conduct. So I don't recall being particularly kind to the girl on the school trip crying over her scraped knee. I simply did what was expected, the kind of road, a good deed that my father would have done. And yet the girl was so grateful for my unremarkable treatment. And I thought to myself that here, again, was someone who'd mistake me for a better person than I really was because of my looks. Because our houses were close by, we started walking to and from school together. It was so cute the way she trailed along behind me like a duckling. The school trip was the start of it. No, that's not true. One day, when I got bored of talking with my friends, I'd noticed she was reading my favorite book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and had struck up a conversation with her. From that day forth, I started talking to her not only on the way there and back, but also at school. Once we got to talking, I realized she was like a walking bookshelf full of knowledge. Chatting with her was fun, and we soon became fast friends. As we got to know one another better, I learned of her complicated home situation, and it made sense why she would be so enamored with me. I was special to her.
嫌な女。
Hi, good evening! Seeing how my friend depended on me, I decided to test just how far she would go for me. I started with childish things, like seeing whether I could get her to give me her dessert at lunch, or getting her to buy matching stationery with me. Soon it escalated to requesting she take the same classes as me, until eventually I made her promise that I would be her one and only friend. Girl, what the fuck, actually? Yuzuriya would do whatever I asked of her, and I felt powerful. Then I decided to push it even further into the most sacred of areas.
どこまで私の言いなりになるか。友情を試した。
What did you do? I made Yuzuriya Yatsushiro get baptized like I had been. I made her choose to live as a Christian, except there was no choice about it. I had coerced her with our friendship the
あ
price.
の頃の私はどうかしていた。
How the... I mean, I can speak on this because I was baptized as a small child. And I'm certainly not, you know, religious in any way. But what the hell, actually? Like, I'm sorry, you guys live in Japan. I don't think that's very normal. Ever since I was little, it had been hammered into me by my father what it was to be holy, what faith meant. In my youthful curiosity and lust for conquest, I violated my own faith and desecrated her too. But that's probably the sin she's talking about as well. The now lukewarm coffee is like bitter mud sliding down my
本当
throat.
はコーヒーが苦手だったはずなのに。
She can drink it now, after so long forcing herself to do it for me. Just another way I changed her. The bitter taste takes me back to the time I conceded her was doused with cold water. The time when her mother, who had been hospitalized in a distant infirmary, was permitted home for a brief spell. I want my mom to meet my best friend. I foolishly accepted her invitation and arrived at her house with a bouquet in hand. She tucked me by the arm into her high-ceilinged house, leading me to a room right at the back. In a mostly bare room.
あなたがコミカドネリネさんね。譲り葉から聞いているわ。
Oh, I think... Oh no. She was gone with sickness, yet there was nothing scary about her. She greeted me with a smile.
譲り葉と仲良くしてくれていると聞いているわ。
ありがとう。
With shameless humility, I had spoken of mine and Yuzuriya's friendship, and her mother had nodded along with a pleased smile. I'll go get us some drinks. As I watched Yuzuriya leave the room, I realized I was still holding the bouquet of flowers. I looked around the room for a vase. Then...
ねえ、ネリネさん。
Uh-oh. As soon as Yuzuriya had left the room, the smile disappeared from the woman's face, and she stared at me with a terribly morose look on her face.
本当はゆずりはを友達とは思っていないのでしょ。
I felt all the blood drain from my face and pool in the soles of my feet. It was the first time anyone had ever seen through my fake goody two-shoes act. The shock rendered me speechless. I watched as the woman in the bed leaned
今
forward.
が嘘でもいい。でもお願いです。
With her breath across my face, her voice sounding like it was coming from the depths of a well, she begged
あ
me.
の方、ゆずりはと。
What did she beg you for? Don't cut off! Unable to bear those words, I shake my head to rid it of the memory. Wrapping my arms around my trembling body, I stare out into the darkness beyond the window. You don't really think of Yuzuriya as your friend, do you? I don't care if it's a lie, but please... Yeah! What did she want you to promise? The wind rustling the branches of the cherry tree sounds like a voice calling to me from the bottom of a well. Filled with repentance for my former self, I whisper Yuzuriya's name.
人々の私があの子へ言えることなんて。
My whispered words get carried away by the wind as I slowly close my eyes and make a sign of the cross over my breast. God is not gonna save you now. Or something along those lines. Gazing up at the sky, I feel as though I've journeyed to some distant land. Calm autumn skies shifting from a pale blue to a deep azure. Azure. The sky is so high, so wide, so piercingly clear that I'm overwhelmed by a feeling of being crushed by it. Breathing in deeply, I feel a cold sting in my nose. Winter's here.
まあ、暦の上じゃとっくに冬なんだけどね。
美味しくないですか？
Pulled back down to earth, I respond cheerfully.
まずいわけがない。リンゴが作ってくれたんだぞ。
嬉しいです。
Seeing her cheeks flush faintly, I'm struck again by how not just the sky but everything around me has changed.
以前とある映画でカーディガンを着るような男は信用しないことにしてる。
I gaze at Ningo-kun in her autumn cardigan. This is the autumn game, but we're crossing a fine line. I think this one very much goes into winter, and then winter, because winter is the conclusion to the entire series.
カーディガンを着るような女の子は
ゆずりは先輩。
She shifts awkwardly, and I bite into another one of the cookies she baked for me. My world has changed. After I confessed to Ninian, she turned me down. I accepted Ningo-kun's confession. Oh! Yeah, that's not... I'll be for real? I don't think that's a very good move. Even though I decided to turn her down, honestly, if you asked me outright if it was a rebound, I'd be hard-pressed to say no. After I was rejected by my best friend, I felt like I was going down on a sinking ship, and she held out her hand to me. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't conflicted. But...
おかしくはないかな。
何がです？
僕が女の子らしい髪型にしてみたいと言ったことがさ。
I'm about to go on to say I couldn't possibly suit an androgynous figure like me when...
おかしいことなんてないですよ。ゆずりは先輩の髪を見るたび、もっと可愛い髪型があるのにと思っていましたです。
True, though.
そうかな。
はい。髪の毛をただ下ろしただけですごい美人さんですよ。
嬉しいな。
That day in my room when she brushed my hair, it brought back distant memories of my mother doing the same thing, and I had felt at peace. My heart, bruised and battered from that night in the chapel, was gradually starting to heal.
私の前ではもっと女の子をしていてほしいです。
そんなに率直に口説かれるとは思わなかったな。
口説くとか私は。
ありがとう、リンゴ。
Since that night, slowly but surely, During the course of our stolen secret dates, my relationship with Ningo Sasaki has deepened.
古風だが憧れていたシチュエーションだ。
Communicating via letters, not love letters. Well, they're not completely devoid of such sentiments, but they're means of keeping our relationship hidden. It's not something I requested, rather we both seem to want to keep it to ourselves. It's a very good idea, actually, thank you. We both judged that having the fact that we were dating out in the open would only bring trouble. For my part, I'm not lacking in zealous fans, and Dingo still hasn't told Ichigo about it. It pains me to be on the receiving end of Ichigo-kun's affection while I'm dating her sister. Many times I've wanted to tell her, but
関係が崩れるということに臆病になっていた。
frankly, all four of you people are ruining a lot of things, I think. Like, this is a mess. Like, you have both twins in love with you, and now you're dating one of them. Because your childhood friend, who you've been in love with your entire life, basically, shot you down. And now you're hiding the entire fact as well. Even from the twin sister. Like, yeah. When I think of how things are with my best friend, how we've barely spoken since I died in the chapelle, I lose any courage I might have to come clean to Ichigo-kun. Our little love letters are a way for us to set the times and places of our rendezvous without other students finding out. I've always known that I like women, that I'm a lesbian, but now for the first time I actually have a girlfriend who I can lay my feelings bare to, and I can't restrain my delight. I feel like a river once blocked up by driftwood and debris, but now flowing back along its true course.
本当にいいのですか?
The artwork is adorable though. She asks me as we watch a movie together in the middle of the night, just the two of
こん
us.
なに幸せでいいのか?
こんな夜更けに視聴覚室に忍び込むことがですよ。
They look too small on that seat. Not gonna lie. She squints up at me from her position atop my lap. Is this really okay? I get the feeling that she left something unsaid after that. You don't regret saying yes to me.
必ず最後に一語分付け加え忘れるような物言い。
It's like how I was always scared of my mother's inconsiderate
見回りに
words.
来る時間は分かっている。何も心配することはない。
ならいいのですけど。
She wriggles in my lap. I can feel her plump little butt against my thighs, and my mind's flooded with thoughts of what we could get up to in this dark and empty room. If I take her in my arms, if I whisper sweet nothings to her, if I kiss her.
私を受け入れてくれる。
ゆずりは先輩。
すまない。映画の途中に話しかけるのはマナー違反だったね。名作だ。
映画好きのスオ先生がいたら殴られてしまうです。
ああ、違いない。
Paris, yeah. I think Yuzuriya herself would have been almost fine, but coupled with Dingo, it's like, no. No, there's something off about how they put them into the seats. I think they wanted to show several rows just to be like, okay, this is an entire room and not just one singular seat, but they should have made both of them bigger. As we watched the movie Cocoon, a recommendation of my teachers, I wrap my arms around Dingo from behind and rest my chin on her shoulder.
先輩。
ふざけていないよ。この方が集中できる。いい映画だ。渋い名優が出る映画を教えてくれと頼んだが、彼女の選定眼に間違いはない。
This is the kind of movie that makes me regret not being into sci-fi, since maybe then I'd have seen it earlier. It all revolves around a group of aliens' interactions with the residents of an old people's home. Oh, that sounds fun, actually.
別に笑いどころはなかったですよ。
いや、なんだか自分の身に置き換えさせられてね。
A contaminating presence that has found its way into this pure, ecstatic female culture. That's me. I smirk to myself as the H-stars of yesteryear act their hearts out on screen. Who couldn't recommend this movie knowing that? It seems possible that my younger schoolmate, sharp as she is, may have picked it in awareness of the darkness and confusion I'm still
わ
wrestling.
かりやすくスーパーマン3とかの方が好みだったな。
Hi Hanu, thank you for the Nyam binary and also thank you for the pat.
それ知ってます。おばあちゃんと一緒に見ましたよ。
Superman
そ
3.
うか。いい映画だ。
Can't say I've seen that one. I recall the scene where good and evil fight within Clark Kent's mind. My true
集
feelings.
中しないとダメですよ。
She nuzzles her cheek against mine and I make a non-committal
今
sound.
を大切にしないといけないね。
As I get closer to her, I'm gradually starting to change, as though a wind is whipping up waves on the once placid surface of my inner ocean. Slowly but surely. Then, as I continue to let her gentle breeze caress me, one day it strikes me that it's already been 2 weeks since Ningo and I started dating.
合
That's
唱会からもう2週間が経ったんですね。
not actually that long. Well, in terms of this game, probably, yes, 2 weeks is quite some time. The comment from my friend is like a knife to my throat, and I manage to croak out a huh? Sad friend, one Irika Yaegaki, is staring intently into my eyes with the expression of someone examining a particularly unusual cloud formation.
時が経つのは早いって話ですよ。もう12月になっちまった。よくある話の枕ですが、おかしいですか？
いや、
まあ構いませんがね。私が話そうとしたことは生徒会選挙のことです。
That's fair, yeah. 2 weeks of just drifting by. Like that. The student council elections, the terms I offered if she wanted to know about her missing love, succeed me as president of the council of Nikkei.
巷じゃ二階屋の人選びなんて呼ばれ方をしてますがね。まさか
白羽さんが立候補するとは思わなかったわ。
Oh, I think she could win actually. Nakazaki-kun finishes her sentence as she pours out our coffee and sets the steaming cups before me and Yaegaki-kun.
暑いですから気をつけてください。
Sure.
なんだよ。適温で入れろよな。私は猫舌なんだぞ。
I feel like with these 2 sprites right now, it's especially more. I vastly prefer the cardigan of the blazer. And half the reason is just the blazer makes the shoulders look so very fucking stiff and pointy. Well, the cardigan is just, you know, round, comfortable, and the blazer's just. But that may just be me. If you turn Erika around, you get Akira. What are you doing in this game?
カーディガンを着るほど寒いんでしょ？
寒がりなのと猫舌なのは別問題だろうが。
Nakasaki-kun nods, humoring her as she sips on her own hot coffee. I decide to flatter my cold-blooded friend by telling her how fashionable she looks.
とてもよく似合っている。カーディガンは女の子を2割増しで可愛くさせる
So
ね。
true.
お前もこういう気の利いたことを言えるようになれよ。
別に必要ないわ。
あ？
だって何を着てもエリカは可愛いわ。
そういう恥ずかしいセリフを臆面もなく言うんじゃない。
Sheesh! Yaegaki-kun's face is slowly flushing even as she tries to play it off. For a moment I'm quite taken by how adorable she is as she blows on her coffee to cool it.
それで八代先輩は聞かされてなかったのですか？
何がだい？
白羽さんが生徒会選挙に立候補するという話です。会長に立候補することを相談されていなかったのですか？
I can't tell them the truth.
僕からしても寝耳に水ってやつだね。
そうみたいなんです。だから拗ねてしまって。
拗ねてなんてない。
You are. Her coffee must have cooled down to an acceptable temperature as she takes a sip and pulls a face.
ただ 私もそいつを聞きたかったのは確かだ。
Hello, hello, good evening. So Shirahana has a beauty that would enchant anyone. She's pure and honest by nature, and she possesses both wisdom and intellect. It's not unthinkable that she should aim for the presidency.
でもなんだか変よね。白羽さんが二階屋の会なんて目立つことを自ら進んで行うなんて。
だろ。だから私は八代先輩に何か聞かされてないか尋ねたかったんですよ。
Nothing! I shake my head. Yagaki grimaces, despite not having had a sip of her coffee, searching my eyes for the reasons behind my current attitude.
花火師さんも生徒会選挙に立候補したのよね。
Well, that's because Rika does everything that Suo does, though.
委員長が目指しているのは副会長の椅子だ。小見門先輩の椅子だよ。
My chest prickles at the mention of Needy's name.
白羽さんが会長を目指すのだものね。花火師さんがサポートするために副会長を目指すのは道理だわ。
Yagaki-kun voices her agreement, then goes on to say that, well, it's probably not that difficult to make vice president. The presidency is a whole other ballgame.
二階屋の会の会長職は文字通り選ばれし役職だ。そこいらの学校の生徒会選挙とは違う。
そうなの？
立候補者になるだけでも難しい。だから二階屋の会では会長が不在で、副会長が仕切る年度の方が多い。ですよね。
Honestly, I've never even been class president. I have been treasurer and stuff like that for class, though. I mean, Rika does kind of do everything Sue does. Like, I'm not wrong there. Where Sue goes, Rika tries to follow. Whether she succeeds is another thing entirely, though.
八重垣くんの言う通り、立候補するだけで4つの難関を越えなくてはならないからね。
Oh. I raise my hand and count down on my fingers.
一つはクラスで中間期末試験どちらかにおいて最も優秀な成績を収めなくてはならない。二つは現二階屋の会のメンバー2名以上からの推薦を受けること。
Oh. That shouldn't be too hard. To be fair, if Sue just asked, we don't know any of the other council members aside from Yuzuriya and Nirine, but if Sue asked Nirine, she would probably give her a vote. Yuzuriya, I'm not so sure because of the whole situation. But probably she could ask pretty much anyone on the council right now and probably get a recommendation.
3つは教職員からも1名以上の推薦を
One
受け
member of the faculty, our good dear sister, definitely would give her a recommendation. I don't think Sue has any problems.
そして最後の難関。
Oh.
教職員及び二階屋の会から選出された5名の審査員の前で討論会を行い、4名以上の支持を得なければならない。
Okay, that could actually prove to be a little harder. I take a gulp of coffee to moisten my throat after my explanation.
人見知りするスオ君には無理だろうと突きつけた条件だが、
副会長の場合は違うの？
確か生徒3名以上からの推薦があれば立候補できるって話だ。
3 other students, you guys have... Well, at least 3 students. That should be easy.
ま、立候補しても選挙で学院の2分の1以上の賛成票が入らなければ
Oh, okay.
ダメだけどね。
そう聞くと会長って立候補するだけでも大変なのね。
The case is more suspicious than impressed, like she can't believe that I could have passed all those trials 1 year prior.
僕が優秀なことに驚いたかい？
I ask her jokingly, and she nods candidly.
いつも成績は花火師さんがトップだったけど、少し前にあった期末試験は白羽さんが一番だったものね。
全教科でオールトップだったからな。私や委員長の立つ瀬がなかったぜ。
God damn.
エリカは
She's
永
serious
遠の
about
3
it.
番手でしょ？
英語は毎回私の方が上だったんだよ。
She shoots at me teapot and I glare, then looks back to me.
一つ目の難関はクリアだ。二つ目の難関、推薦を受けるために二階屋の会のメンバーと交渉してるって話だが。
So I was asking me whether this is true. Meeting her gaze, I nod.
僕が推薦するのはなしだが、他の2階屋の会の子たちへとロビー活動しているというのは聞いているよ。
本気みたいだな。
She mutters to herself, then after gazing out at the wintry moon for a spell.
腹が減った。千鳥が作ったサンドイッチが食べたい。
Kasaki-kun rolls her eyes but acquiesces.
食材に文句をつけるのはなしよ。
フルーツサンドじゃなかったら何でもいい。
それが文句をつけるっていうのよ。
But she told you before you went out to make one.
文句じゃなくて注文だよ。ベーコンがあればなおいい。
Although she mutters about how useless her tea partner is, she asks me if I want anything, then when I shake my head, leaves the room. After the doors closed behind her, we both stare at it for a long moment.
僕に何か話があるんだね。
わかりますか？
Yeah.
こういうシチュエーションも2度目だからね。で、聞きたいのはスオ君のことかい？
I brows furrow at my question. She squints off into the middle distance.
違うのかい？
そいつも聞きたいところですが、別に質問をするために千鳥を遠ざけたんじゃありません。
Advice? I've had a similar conversation with her in this room once before.
聞こう。
佐々木凛吾と付き合っているのでしょ？
Whatever gave you the idea? I had an inkling, but even so, I'm still taken aback. To think our secret could have been found out so soon. Oh, I mean, thank you for the pet and the hydrate time. Appear into a feeling. Wow! It actually took a while until she was compared to a cat again. Not bad, not bad. If you don't count the whole, ooh, she's a sensitive tongue because it's called a cat's tongue in Japanese. I'm not counting that because we didn't see that in the English text.
君は本当に面白い友人だよ。
I tell her.
足はダメでも頭はそう悪くない。
She gives her thighs a slap and I smile.
忠告か。
I'd be on guard if she phrased it as a warning, but since it's advice, it must be coming from a place of kindness.
今からめんどくさい話を聞かされるんですよ。
僕を思ってのことなのだろう？なら悪くない。
For a split second, I think I catch a blush staining her cheeks before a usual cat-like smile returns.
私が佐々木妹のことを知っていて驚いているんでしょうが、こいつはみんなが知っている流行りの噂話ってわけじゃない。
君だけが知っている？
いいや、私一人じゃない。おっと、そう睨まなくとも千鳥でもないですよ。私の口はそう軽くないんでね。
Then, I have an idea of who could have found out.
佐々木いちごくんかい？
正解です。白船あたりを行ってくると思いましたが。
That's what I was saying. The twins are not stupid. Especially the one they keep trying to show off as being a little slower than the other. She's not stupid.
もしスオ君が秘密を探り当てた相手なら。
She'd have no need to put herself forward for the student council elections.
いや、それは彼女を冒涜しているか。
ま、一番身近な相手だ。気づかれないってのはなかなか難しい。佐々木姉はああいうやつだが、バカじゃない。
どうしてと尋ねていいかい？
周りに二人での密会がバレないように手紙でやり取りしていたでしょ。悪くないが、証拠の残る連絡手段は悪手だ。
いちごくん
Did they live in the same room?
手紙をメールしたの。
Yeah, like... We got sweat blooms inside my chest. My mood darkens as I imagine Ichigo-kun reading our letters and realizing I'm dating her sister when she herself asked me out too.
私は様子がおかしいあいつから無理やり聞き出したんだが、遠からずみんなへバレますよ。
君は責めないのだね。
遠からずとは言ったが、なるべくうまくやった方がいい。
She concludes without answering my question. Her demeanor makes it clear that she has no more to say on the matter. However, you should be careful. Like a previous warning, those words also serve as a judgment. Heeding my friend's advice, I decreased the frequency of our dates and changed our meeting place to my room. My Michi partner left the academy a while back. It was also more safe for my zealous fans who seemed to feel that invading the privacy of my room would be a step too far. I hadn't told Ringo that Ichigo-kun knew about our relationship, partly because I wanted to spare her feelings, and partly due to my own contemptible inability to face up to it. Then, my inescapable feelings demanded a recompense. I don't remember what served as the trigger. Maybe it was simply that the chat we'd been enjoying over dinner had petered out, the silence between us pregnant. Maybe it was Ringo's reaching out to wipe an eyelash from my cheek, our eyes meeting. Some small things like that, but it doesn't matter how small the spark was. Ringo gazed at me, then closed her eyes, tilting her head and her small sweet lips up to me ever so slightly. Seeking my own compensation, I had no reason to stop it happening.
Ringo.
It's a hackneyed what? Hackneyed simile, but I was drawn to her like a moth to a flame. Yes. No, you're right. Hearing the sound of the door opening, I slowly raised my head. There, standing in the entrance. Oh ho! Why are you coming in? This is not your room. Hello? Her voice like a judge's sentence. Sweat formed on my brow as the silence stretched out between us. You should be careful. My cat-like friend's words echoed in my ears like a curse. Aware that the thin yet tangible membrane between us was impossible to penetrate. Ah! I knew then that I had lost my one and only true friend. Welp? Oh yeah, I mean they call Erika the entirety of her cat-like many times as well, but specifically the cat-like smile is fucking me up. These games really need a counter for that one. I think you would rack up probably 50 overall of the course of all of those games. It's quite often. Rain in winter is way too quiet. Gazing at the scenery outside the window after I finished my task, it's only when I notice the flagstones are wet that I realize it's been raining. The cold rain falls without sound, seeping into the cold ground and turning it black. The sky's icy tears have soaked through everything before I notice. Hearing a tentative voice behind me, I turn around. Tentative? Please. Although I grin brightly at her, the smile of the secretary returns as awkward. She scurries off into the corner of the room where the rest of my colleagues are gathered. Of course, it wouldn't help my case if I was rude to her. It probably wasn't Nina who leaked it. Still, news of my relationship with Dingo started as a drip falling here and there to the placid surface of the academy, until the drips turned into rivulets that ran together to form one raging river. Tentative, like a short... yeah. There's a lot of words that in my head I've always like pronounced like long, and now I feel like, yeah, pretty much all of those words have always been wrong in my mind. They're all very short. Probably not how you would explain what I mean, but I hope it comes across. No one has asked me about it to my face, but by now it's pretty much an open secret. The girls were within my year group, and those above and below too. And... no, they're more than that. The friends who've been with me in Nina through thick and thin. Me and Nina Komikado. The members of the Council of Nikkei had clearly expected me and Nini to end up dating. Some of them even thought we'd been an item ever since we started at the academy, although they'd never have said it out loud. Which is probably why they feel betrayed. Their unconcealed coldness toward me is further proof that the Baki Ninine, who they deem to be the spurned party here.
みんなへ私の方が振られたのだと釈明すれば
Oh, I mean like... Oh my god, what was the Thanos meme? What does he actually say in the Thanos meme? That... One of those words that I'd always said wrong my entire life until I found out. What is it? This is so... Wow, I can't even find the original. Inevitable, yeah. You know, do you remember how like when I learned it, I would always say inevitable? Same thing like with tentative. Like my brain went tentative, but it's tentative. It's inevitable, not inevitable. That kind of stuff. That's what I mean with like long, pronouncing it long when it's supposed to be short. Yeah, no, inevitable. That's the word I was looking for, thank you. I think of the girl with the feline smile and then of the girl in the pages of the documents that have been placed on my desk. Inevitable. Seeing Suru Shirahana's name on the forms for the student council election candidates, I smile wryly. Both those council members are total squares. I would have set my sights on a winsome secretary and a general clerk. She's not just a pretty face. Speak with her a little and you're sure to be captivated by the truly decent and honest personality behind it. Getting an audience with girls of a similar temperament is the hard part, but once that's managed, she'll have no problem securing that trust. A self-deprecating smile rises to my face unbidden. Although I'm curious about Sukun's next move, there's someone else I need to be focusing on above all others right now. I stopped meeting with Ringo-kun when our relationship became public knowledge. Not to protect myself, but to protect her. I can't exactly say this is a pleasant situation for myself, but for Ringo, I can hardly bear to think about it. Still, if I act rashly, I'll only make things worse for her. I truly believe that. Maybe you should actually talk to her. Infamous and unison were pronounced long for the longest time too. I get it though! I totally get you. I absolutely understand. I don't know them off the top of my head, but there's so many words when I see them written, I will still fall back into pronouncing them wrong. And then half the time I find out while on stream and I say something wrong and you guys go, what did you just say? And I go, well, what it said there. And it's like, oh, that's not how that's pronounced. Ah, well, that's unfortunate. Infamous, yeah, that's, I totally get it. I could just pass by the first year classrooms. No, if I pull something like that, it'll only pique everyone's curiosity even further. They'll take any slight hint as definite proof. The face of the girl who saved me floats before my eyes, and I press my thumbs hard into my temples. Yeah, but please talk to her. Many times I found my feet carrying me toward her room, but each time reason reared its head, stopping me in my tracks, turning me on my heel, and returning me to my own room. What if I sent her a letter asking her to meet me somewhere? Slip it into her shoe cupboard like we used to, but...
そいつで失敗したんだろうが。
Yeah, it's yeah. At some point, it's like there's a hard limit of how many words you can tell me in one go, or like in a short amount of time that I've been saying wrong, because I like at some point my brain will forget. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna say anything anymore. What the hell? You're talking in a romance man? No. Every idea I come up with is stupid. Taking after my father, I turn to face the aquarium. My gaze follows the shadows of the fish as they dart in and out of the seaweed.
どんな場所でもそいつ次第さ。笑えるかどうかは気持ち次第だろう。
What I find so interesting is how they all care so much about gossip in the school. It's like, I'm sorry, she is the president of the student council. Like, she has had fans the entire time. There's people who would like fall to their knees for anything she does. And now there's this one, well, it is true, but like it's going around as a rumor that she's dating another girl, like someone that most people did not expect her to be dating. And suddenly everyone's throwing her under the bus. I'm like, sucks. Hate how those other people acting, but like, truly, who gives a fuck? I get that Yuzuriya is not the type of person who can just let that wash over her, like she's affected by it, but who gives a fuck? Genuinely, why would you care about people you're not personally involved with? Like, they're gonna gossip about her anyway. Like, even if she had just started dating Nina, like, out there, people would have still gossiped and said stupid shit anyway. Like, that's the nature of gossip. The fishies are very cute. These are okay. These are okay. They're not realistic. I repeat my father's words to the fish, but they have no response for me. All I get back in return is guilt and unease.
さすがに笑えない。どうしたらいいと思う？
I can see Dingo's cherubic face in the glass. The illusion brings back the feeling of her soft slender body in my arms. Despite not wearing any perfume, her skin gave off a deliciously tantalizing scent. It lingered on my clothes, that unique smell of blossoming womanhood. Girl, what the fuck are you talking about? That's a wheelchair. And now I'm not just seeing things, I'm smelling them. I've been so lost in staring at the fish that I hadn't noticed it at first, but now... A similar scent to Dingo's, yet with a more masculine base now, it brings me back to reality. I slowly turn around.
ようやく気がついた。こんな美人が近くにいたっていうのに不覚だよ。
軽口を叩けるならそこまで心配しなくてもよかったみたいですね。
Touched by Yaigaki-kun's concern, a genuine smile makes its way to my lips. However,
返しが来ない。やっぱり重症だったか。
she grimaces at me.
久しぶりのきちんとした会話だ。純粋に楽しいんだよ。
人嫌いのネクラのインドア派女との会話が楽しいなんて随分とやられているようですね。
She's supposedly used to being alone, but we've been friends for a while now. Seems like she's starting to develop a needy streak. Despite clearly setting me up for a riposte, it's as much as I can do to force a weak smile.
やられているのは佐々木妹も同じようですがね。
She says.
リンゴが？彼女はどうしているんだ？
Her bag must be in shambles.
落ち着いてくださいよ。こんな場面を見られたらま
Yeah.
た誤解されちまう。
It's honestly for her base sprite, because this is her base sprite. I do not know why they chose this pose of all poses. Like, why she's the only one turned around like this so weirdly.
そんなことはいい。 話を聞かせてくれ。
そいつを話しに来たんです。話しますがね。でもとりあえず肩の手を離してください。正直に言うとめちゃくちゃ痛い。
I was not trying to make it. What? Yeah! Turned around. Why? Why? What did you hear? Now you're making me scared. What did I say? Suddenly I hear a licking noise behind me. It's the cat grooming. So, you said with 2 syllables like turnip? Turn it? Turn it around? No, I didn't. Listen, I may say a lot of things weirdly, but I did not say that. Turn around. Turn around. Why not? Turn it around. No, I did not say that. When I release my iron grip on her, Yagaki rubs her shoulder. I apologize again for misjudging my strength.
それだけ佐々木妹のことが心配だったってことですからね。むしろ、まあそうなるだろうねとか冷静に言われたら回れ右するところでしたよ。
すまない。それでリンゴのことだが。
強い言葉を使いましたが、実際のところそこまでひどい状態じゃない。まあかなりよそよそしくされちゃいますがね。
When I tell her that sounds about the same as what I'm experiencing, she informs me with a feline smirk that it's a little worse for Dingo.
教室では白羽と委員長の目が光っているからないがしろにはできないんですが、まあ距離は取られていますね。
そうか。
Feeling grateful to Suo-kun and Hanabishi-kun, I sighed in relief, but Yagaki-kun looks apprehensive.
私としてはクラスのやつの態度よりも驚いたことがあったんですけどね。
旧友の態度に驚かないか。両家の子女が集まるこの学院でも変わらないんだなと。
No, Yuzuriya.
毒を吐くかと思ったよ。
It's one thing that her classmates are, like, keeping their distance. Well, why are you keeping your distance from someone you're supposedly dating? Especially now that it's gotten like this.
育ちがどうだろうが、基本女ってのは変わらないもんですよ。集団になれば驚くほど同じだ。
But let's bring up memories of all the various schools I attended back in the day.
私の試験ですけどね。女ってのは属するものを作りたがるんですよ。まんまの意味としての属。友達や部活、趣味、自分とつながる属が。
族か。
ええ。女のいさかいなんて大抵そいつが元で起きる。自分に属さないものは排除しようとする。そいつが少数ならもっとわかりやすくなる。
I nod my agreement with her philosophical view. At my previous schools, I experienced my own fair share of being treated as different due to my appearance.
それで驚くこととは？
こいつもあまり愉快じゃないことだ。まさかあいつが。
The way she trails off leaves an ominous shadow hanging over us. Could it be that Ichigo-kun's keeping her distance too?
佐々木いちごくんが距離を置き出した。
Looks like you're thinking straight again, she says with a smirk. She has never had a straight thought in her life. She's a lesbian.
忠告をした時にこうなるような気はしていたんですが、あれほど露骨に避けるようになるとは思わなかった。
そうか。
I get the that this is a messed up situation. After all, Ichigo-kun admitted her feelings for me first, but...
なんだかんだ言っても姉妹だ。それに、佐々木姉が八代先輩に向けていたのは、もう少し軽い感情、憧れとかだと思ってたんですけどね。
人嫌いの割にはよく見ているじゃないか。
人嫌いだからですよ。猫は自分に近寄ってくる相手が猫好きなのかそうじゃないのかしっかり観察している。
That brings back thoughts of my past self and of Nini Kumikado, things that are now out of my reach.
あいつらは同質だ。針のむしろなんじゃないですかね。
This information hits me hard, and I feel a pressure on my chest, making it hard to breathe. All I feel is remorse.
ずいぶん苦い顔をしているようですが、うちのクラスに顔を出すとか、佐々木姉妹の部屋に押しかけようなんて真似はしないでくださいよ。
分かっているさ。
Yeah, Yaki-kun looks up at me dubiously as I ring the words out.
佐々木姉はともかく、クラスでは白羽がうまくやっているんです。ご破産にはしないでほしい。
リンゴをかばっているのか。今は大事な時だろうに。
She's not yet an official candidate, but if things go well, after this will come to the vote. Come the voting! Of course, protecting Ringo would be a huge minus for her when it comes to that.
あいつは自分を卑下しますがね。白羽の長所は貧乏くじを引けるところですよ。
自分の評価を下げると分かっていても。
そう、分かっていてもです。バカだから熱いかまどに手を突っ込むんじゃない。分かっていて貧乏くじを率先して引くやつだから。
I have the feeling that she would have gone on to say she's special, but she catches herself before she does and swallows the words, her face flushing.
八重垣くんもだいぶ貧乏くじを引いているように見えるけどね。
私のは面白がりなだけですよ。それでいて刹那主義なだけです。で、これもただの面白がりからの提案があるんですがね。
She beckons to me, a wicked smile curling up her lips.
悪巧みかい？
こいつは好意ですよ。佐々木妹の憔悴しきった顔を見るのは忍びない。だから。
Startled by the proposal, she whispers to me. I stare into her verdigris. Can you just say fucking green? Can you not use like... First it's a salad and eyes, and now it's another word I have no idea how to fucking pronounce. Looking through those windows to discover her true intention.
その提案。
Who says that about an eye color? Her verdigris eyes. Bruh. Just like Harry and the Hendersons. Her face is the very picture of self-satisfaction, and there's a slightly mocking lilt to her voice. In order to understand her meaning, I have to explain the movie and later TV show Harry and the Hendersons. Released in 1987, the movie starts with an ordinary American family, the titular Hendersons, driving home from a camping trip. On the drive back to Seattle, they hit something with a car. But something turns out to be none other than Bigfoot, the beast of legend. Thinking they've killed the creature, the family take the body home with them. However, it turns out not to be dead, and the very much alive Bigfoot proceeds to rampage through their home. Eventually, they manage to come to an understanding with the beast. They name him Harry and decide to look after him in secret. They gradually grow closer until one day one of the neighbors catches sight of Harry and...
つまり、それってどういう意味なので
That's
すか？
what I'd like to fucking know. Ring got cancelled, sorry, goddammit. She tilts her head, seemingly not following my explanation.
八重垣くんは僕へとある提案をした。絶対に見つからない合いびきの場所として彼女たちの部屋を貸し出す。
Yeah, Yaki-kun made the proposition for Ringo's sake to offer her somewhere more comfortable than her current bed of thorns.
つまり八重垣くんと高崎くんがヘンダスン一家で、僕とリンゴがかくまわれているビッグフットのハリーってわけさ。
And so here they are, offering to make the room available to us.
本当にいいのですか？
She blinks in surprise at Yaki-kun, who returns to look with a broad smirk.
構わない。ここであと2年以上やっていくのに 菓子はできるだけ作っておいた方がいいからな。
憎まれ口を叩かないの。気にしないでいいのよ。ゆっくりしていってね。
Ringo's expression immediately brightens upon receiving a rare smile from Takasaki-kun. Just seeing her expression light up like that makes it worth accepting the offer.
夏頃はお前の方が怪物役のハリーだったんだけどな。ビッグフットのハリーはベジタリアンで野菜しか食べないんだよ。まさにハマり役だろ。
The case of the simple color names all got removed. Please, I would perish. I would pass away.
出会った頃を言っているならね。ヘンダスン一家みたいにかくまうなんて優しいところ一つもなかったじゃないの。
She glares down at Yaegaki-kun with her hands on her hips, but the other girl merely smiles cat-like back at her.
何？クラスに私を気遣ってくれる人がいて本当に嬉しかったのです。ありがとう、八重垣ちゃん、千鳥。
The two of them are lost for words as Ringo takes each of their hands and thanks them with the utmost sincerity.
気にするな。ただの気まぐれさ。
A genuine gratitude must have touched a nerve as Yaegaki-kun looks away and scratches her head awkwardly.
僕からも礼を言うよ。八重垣くん、高崎くん。
私の真意は話したでしょ。別に構いませんよ。
ん？
ベッドを使うなら千鳥の方にしてもらいたい。この足だとシーツを交換するのも骨なんでね。
Ringo flushes as rosy red as her namesake fruit. With great exaggeration, I tell them I make sure to do so.
エリカ？
なんだよ、冗談くらい。
そう、八代先輩たちに私のベッドを貸すということはエリカのベッドでアニティ同士親密な触れ合いをしたいということね。
え？
遠回しに求めなくてもいいの。私はいつだって構わないのだから。
何をだよ。
Yaegaki-kun practically barks back at her, her face flushing as scarlet as Ringo's. Both Ringo and Takasaki-kun laugh.
私はいい後輩に恵まれたな。
Real friends who offer a hand in times of need.
それじゃあせっかくだからコーヒーを入れましょう。リンゴさんはコーヒーは大丈夫かしら？ミルクと砂糖が入ってるなら。私も甘いコーヒーの方が好きよ。エリカはブラックよね。
分かっていて聞くな。私も甘いやつに決まってるだろ。甘くないコーヒーなんてコーヒーじゃない。
Chuckling, Takasaki-kun heads over to the coffee mill to prepare their orders.
コーヒー通の八代先輩の前で言うセリフじゃなかったですね。
なーに、僕はどんなコーヒーも愛している。僕の愛は広いのさ。
She nods understandingly.
ま、こんな状況になっているんだ。
She murmurs to herself.
いや、なんだ。別に煽ろうとかからかってるわけじゃない。私も、ほら。
She jerks her chin in the direction of Takasaki-kun, now grinding the beans.
な、わかるだろ。
It's a statement that conveys a lot.
女性同士の恋。
I'm already well aware that I'm gay, but what about Yaegaki-kun and Ringo? A question suddenly occurs to me. Do they think of these feelings as a temporary affliction, or something that will persist even after they've left the academy behind?
そうだ。せっかく部屋を提供したんです。ぜひ、のろけを聞かせてくださいよ。
のろけ？
佐々木妹のどこが気に入ったかってことですよ。
Ooh. Feel it ease around her. What do I like about Ringo Sasaki?
今更ながら考えたことがなかった。
Oh! Girl, please. 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 That hurts. That's... They've been dating for more than... I'd say 3 weeks now? That's... yeah. But is my covering Putting a finger to my chin, I mull it over.
ん悩まないと出てこないとか？
違う。改めて考えたことがなかったからだよ。好きなところはたくさんあるが、
たくさん。
これだというものは。
Thinking it over, I look into Dingo's flushed face. Got it.
一緒にいて落ち着けるところだな。
落ち着ける？なんだかありきたりな理由ですね。
ありきたりということは万人にとって大切な事柄だってことだろ。
嬉しいです。
Feeling like I've just made an unexpected confession, I'm conscious of my own cheeks growing hot. Even Yaegaki-kun seems too tongue-tied to poke fun at us. Still blushing hard, Dingo glances at me bashfully. When she looks up at me through her lashes, her gaze strikes a chord deep inside me.
そうか。
Even I've been worn down by the stares of those around me. When I think of what Dingo must have been going through, compassion blooms within me.
リンゴ。
Ooh! Without her saying a word, I find myself drawn in by those eyes.
あら？
The fragrant scent of coffee reminds me of the fact that we're in Yaegaki-kun's room, which I'd completely forgotten for a brief moment.
自由に使っていいとは言いましたが、人目を少しは気にしてほしい。
すまない。
My face feels like it's on fire. Yaegaki-kun takes a cup from our Michi partner.
実はもう一つ提案があるのですけどね。
何かな。
鍵が2階屋の貝屋作りなら最高なんですけどね。そいつが前提でもう一つ。ここよりも気兼ねなくデートができるところがあるんですよ。
Oh. In response to her beckoning, I lean in close and my ears by her lips. Where else could we have a key to? To get straight to the point, yes, the Council of Nicaea did indeed have the key to the room Yaegaki-kun spoke of. And that room is... Ah!
やりたい放題できるってことだ。
That's why I thought there were initially. But like when they were sitting in those seats where they were too small for, but I'm guessing that was just the AV room. Otherwise they wouldn't have been able to watch a movie. Honestly, I have no idea why I didn't think of it myself. The underground theater beneath the chapel, the St. Joseph, is rarely opened unless it's for an event. And so the key is left in the care of the Council of Nicaea, who undertake its monthly cleaning.
初めからここでデートをしておけばよかった。
でも視聴覚室で映画を見たりとか、飼育小屋で一緒に餌やりをしたり、楽しかったです。
思い出は何者にも代え難い。
Ningo smiles and nods from a position atop my lap. Maybe because we're away from prying eyes and therefore free to be ourselves, Dingo has been on the offensive since we entered the place.
ゆずりは先輩の胸、すごく落ち着きます。
そうかい。なら大きく実った甲斐があった。
She leans back against me, resting her small head in the dip between my cheeks.
心臓トクトク言ってますですよ。
緊張しているのだよ。僕も乙女だ。
The sensation of her plump little butt against my thighs, her ripe girlish scent, everything is heightened in the stillness of the underground theater.
この体勢も素敵ですけど、向き合った方がもっと素敵な気がしますですね。
向き合うって。
Then we'd be well and truly embracing. Just the thought of it stirs up a desire in me that I know I'd have a hard time fighting.
僕は
A ripe apple!
感じているだけで幸せだよ。
これくらいなら八重垣ちゃんの部屋でもできるですよ。
I hope.
自分から貸し出す旨を言ってきたのだから文句はつけないだろうが。
Although I'm able to be open with my feelings for the first time in my life, there's still some internal resistance I need to overcome. I still struggle to bring myself to kiss and hug her properly.
姉にいちご姉に気を使っているからですか？
それは
I trail off. I don't know what I should say. I want to shrink back from her with her head on my chest. It feels like she'll be able to hear my inner thoughts via the conspicuous beat of my heart.
ゆずりは先輩は優しいですね。
臆病なだけさ。
That's what I want to say. The cowardly lion. In the back of my mind, she's there.
ゆずりは先輩は今まで好きになった人はいたのですか？
A shadowy figure looms in the back of my mind, dark and oppressive.
あまり話したくはない。
I think the option with, I guess, with my father is the whole, oh, you know, as a child. Blah blah blah, but I still think it's a weird option. Tell her.
ごめんなさい。話しづらいことでしたか？
ごめん。僕がいいなと思うのはみんな女性だったからね。あまり理解されないかと思って。
私としてもゆずりは先輩が好きです。同じですよ。
She protests as she looks up at me and I thank her.
それに、八重垣ちゃんが言ってました。女性同士の恋はおかしいものではないと。キリンの9割は同性同士で付き合っているのだって。
90% of giraffes are gay! Yep. Yep. I guess they are.
オットセイなんかも同じだって言ってましたですよ。
Okay.
それは多分励まし20、英語80くらいのノリで言ったのだと思うぞ。
Good on the giraffes, yeah. Speaking of turning the frogs, who's looking after the poor giraffes who I guess I have to try and build a gay giraffe in sticky business. Oh my goodness! Hello, Raiders! Hi Jin, welcome in! Hello everyone! Thank you so much for the raid. Hi, I'm new and like the color pink version of a JRPGs. We're currently playing Flowers with a subtitle that I cannot pronounce because I don't speak French, but it's the third game. Hello, hello, and thank you for the follow. Hi! How was your stream? Did you have fun? We just found out that apparently 90% of all giraffes are gay. Fun fact. So are fur seals, apparently. You had a little quiz show. Ooh, yeah, I saw the notification earlier. Did you win? Was there anything you could win? The Promise of Lesbians? This is yes. Yes. This is a game set in a Christian boarding school in the middle of Japan, though, so it's all a little, you know. You're lesbians, you hear? Valid. Kwashui. Oh, Vani won. Nice. Thank you for the pet. Okay, hold on 1 second. Pikachu for the raiders, of course.
Pikachu.
And thank you for the hidden time. And oh, wait, there's our first posture check here. Okay, good. Now, we are currently on a little date far away from prying eyes because after school already kind of knows about it by now, and it's a little awkward. It's a little awkward because it's like, oh my god, we all thought that they all thought that our main character, the one on the lower left right now, not the one you can see in the middle of the screen, was dating someone else, but we got rejected by that person, by our childhood friend, and now we are dating our underclassman here, who has told us that she's in love with us as well. And right now we're talking about the fact that homosexuality is now weird because 90% of giraffes are gay, and I'm like, that That is a fascinating fact to be hearing from a girl who's literally in our lab right now. Thank you for the follow. Oh, come in. And now I tapped into the wrong window. There we go. Still, I decide not to say anything.
慰めてくれてありがとう。
Ningo smiles up at me before burrowing her head back into my chest once more.
こんなに満ち足りた日がずっと続けばいいですね。
Here during our secret meetings in the St. Joseph, I'm free to speak and act true to myself. And while I do still have to be a little bit on my guard in Yaegaki-kun and Takasaki-kun's room, it's still a lot of fun talking with people who understand us. As Ningo says, it would be nice if things could go on like this forever. But when it comes down to it, avoidance doesn't get you anywhere. The things you put off will eventually come back around to bite you in the ass. Oh boy! You should imagine how weird all things are by how common it is in giraffes. Oh, good idea. Good idea. Do you think giraffes can be left-handed? Do you? Can they have hands? I mean, they have hooves, don't they? I don't think there's a proficiency to be had with hooves like that, though. What was it I'd said? A wonder lasts but 9 days. The rumors will die down soon. I recall saying something like that, so it must have been in regard to me and Ningo. But this is all preamble, like the intro to a Rakugo skit. The doubts surfacing in my mind right now of a different sort. The words that had hit me like an unexpected blow to the head.
ウェンディゴだって？
I repeat it back to her as she fills with her braids. She's never been comfortable with these topics.
ええ、八代先輩の耳には
I
何も
thought the
入っていない
Wendigo
ので
was
すか？
over. Wasn't that an animal? My favorite tomato sauce ravioli suddenly tastes like sawdust. It's not the fault of the vibrant green spinning pasta before me.
あれはもう解決済みの案件じゃないか。
Yeah,
また
that's what I'm saying. Oh, it's not?
その顔だとまたその七不思議のウェンディゴが現れたようだね。
Nabishi-kun seems awkward as she continues playing with her hair.
実はこの間、二階屋の会の方と話していて、そこでウェンディゴのお話が出たのです。
Spinach. That green stuff. But someone was probably the council treasurer or auditor whose recommendations she'd received in order to submit her candidacy.
一時期噂にはなっていたけど、立ち消えていて、でも目撃した人がまた現れ出したと憂鬱そうにおっしゃって。
Oh.
どういうことだ？
The true form of the wandering Wendigo of the woods had been none other than Door Mother Katabami. Spinach. Oh, okay. Spinach. The injured baby raccoon that started the whole thing had recovered, and the culprit had promised not to act so thoughtlessly again, and yet now...
どうしたんだい？
もしかして私、何かまずいことを話してしまったのでしょうか？
Spinach.
いや、情報提供ありがたいよ。最近は誰もまともに口を聞いてくれない。二階屋の会ですらこの通りだしね。
八代先輩。
If something isn't urgent, it doesn't reach my ears. I guess I don't see fit to bother me if trivial matters, but previously I would have been the first to hear about something like this.
そろそろ身から出たサビとはいえ、二階屋の会だけでも正さなければならないかな。ありがとう。生徒会選挙うまくいくよう祈っているよ。
With that, I chow down on the raviolo that has been spared on my fork this whole time, but the sauce, ordinarily delicious, turns bitter in my mouth.
やはり片場寮長ではない。
Troubled by the news of the Wendigo I gleaned from Hanabishi-kun, I wanted to go and ask about it right away. Instead, I had to wait until after the Council of Nikaea meeting, but...
片場寮長は否定していた。 では、誰がウェンディゴを演じている？
I gaze out the window at the scene dripped in sunset reds. My eyes are drawn to the well-manicured lawn and the row of cherry trees that serve as a window. A single bird lands on a branch, looking around with dull eyes.
ニカイアの会から得た情報だと、また白い影を木々の合間に見たと。
The origin of the white shadow was told Mother Katabami's homemade sack, so what could it be this time?
片羽寮長の瞳から部屋を覗いたが、嘘をついている節はなかった。なら、集団心理のようなものか？
The Wendigo had been the talk of the school for a hot minute. Maybe some frail souls spooked themselves into seeing it, causing a chain reaction where anyone out walking alone was able to convince themselves they'd seen it too.
娯楽の少ないところだ。そんなところかもしれないな。
It doesn't seem like enough to qualify as an actual incident, and despite the spreading rumors, the faculty don't seem to view it as a problem.
僕の出る幕はなさそうだ。
Including that there's no real teeth to the rumors, I heave a deep sigh as I continue to watch the sunset gild the dove. A peaceful scene. Thank you for the follow. Come in. Time to turn this romance novel into a Bigfoot hunt? No. No. Many interesting words to pronounce. Yeah, that's true. That's true. My optimistic outlook was, however, soon betrayed in the worst way possible. Is every time she's like, I guess I don't have to do anything. Everything's fine. Everything was not, in fact, fine. It's literally every single time it's like that. The day I approached the chapel at midnight, as I had done countless times before. Ringo Sasaki did not come to me. I arrived precisely at our meeting time. Usually she'd be there before me, but not tonight. The path was muddy from the brief but heavy rain that fell a little earlier, and I thought perhaps it had delayed her a bit. 10 minutes passed, and then 20, and I started to worry. This was out of character. 30 minutes, and I felt like metal clasps were tightening around my stomach. I had a bad feeling, and my bad feelings are never off the mark. Bigfoot was also just looking for love and acceptance. That's very, very nice, but this game takes place in This game takes place in Japan. I don't think we can be of help to Bigfoot here. I hurried back toward the dorms, the mud sucking at my feet and slowing me down. On my way...
聖堂へ来る途中、雨に降られて戻っいや、雨が降っていたのは9時頃から11時頃までだ。まさか、ウェンディゴにでも遭遇して。
Terrible conjectures crowded my head, spurring me on to reach her as fast as I could. Yes. Pushed on by the bad feeling, I found myself at the twins' room where I'd resolved not to go for fear of drawing attention to our relationship. Although I haven't properly faced up to her since Ringo and I started dating, seeing Ichigo-kun and hearing her voice calms me slightly.
リンゴはもう寝てしまったのかい?
Question of using Ringo's unembellished name, which I usually say for when we're alone. Am I further I voice it without thinking and realizing the cruelty of my words fall silent. For a second, an incomparably sad expression flits across Ichigo-kun's face before she points toward the triple bunk bed.
さらわれていなかったか。
Seeing Ringo's figure on the bottom bunk, the cruel clasp finally released a hold on my stomach. My bad feeling was off the mark this time. I'm relieved to know that she simply fell asleep and missed our meeting, but then...
なんだ?
Seeing the troubled and strangely fearful expression on Ringo's face, I realized that something isn't right here. I searched back through my photographic memory. Right.
リンゴのベッドは下段じゃない。
She should have been the top bunk. Identify the incongruity like it's a spot the difference puzzle, then I might make my way over to her. The moment she tries to sit up in bed, her face constricts. I pull back the covers, already knowing what I'm going to see. My god, it's never wrong. My god was wrong. Bandages are wrapped around her ankle. She grits her teeth, overcome with pain simply from shifting her position slightly.
何があったんだ?
I ask her fiercely, resisting the urge to grab her by the shoulders.
転んだだけではないだろう。それだったら隠す必要などないからな。一体何が。
襲われたんです。
何？
聖堂でゆずりは先輩を待っている時に。
Ichiko-kun explains to me in a fearful tremor. Ringo had set out to arrive at the chapelle 30 minutes before our arranged time. She'd taken care where she stepped on the sodden ground. Then, while she was reading a book on the stone paving in front of the chapelle and waiting for me to arrive,
襲われた。
はい。それで足をくじいてしまったものの、なんとか下
I
宿舎まで戻
also
ってき
think
て。
that every time I see the Suji, I think she has 6 toes every time. And then I count and I'm like, no, it's fine. But I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. Thank you. Oh, because of the knee! Oh, see, it's never been the knee that fucks me up. But for some reason, every time I see this foot, like out of my peripheral, because I know this CG, I'm like, 6 toes. No, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not. Okay, we're at least 3 people who thought she had 6 toes on her foot.
私は
Love
た
that
また
for
まロビ
us.
ーに行って戻ってきたリンゴを見つけて保健室へ。
She rushed to her sister's aid without a second thought. Perhaps the relationship is back to how it was before. Then,
大丈夫です。くじいただけで折れたとかじゃないですから。
Goosebumps rise across my skin as Dingo forces a brave smile for me. It feels at first like I have the chills, but then I realize the true source of this feeling: anger. Anger toward those who have kept their distance from Dingo, shunning her for being different. The students I picture are pure manifestations of malice. No eyes, noses, or eyebrows, just cruel crescent moon mouths.
待っていてくれ。僕がそいつを捕まえてくる。
Anger boiling in my stomach, I turn tail without waiting for Dingo's response. I'd known since before I arrived at the scene of the attack, no, even before I declared to Dingo that I'd get them. There's no way the culprit would still be there. There's nothing for me to gain by coming back here. Even so, my prickling skin and frayed nerves won't allow me to rest. I search all around and inside the chapelle, but find nothing that would serve as evidence of the crime. The only signs of the attack are the footprints left in the mud in front of the building. Expelling my irritation in one long breath, I examine the ground intently.
こいつは。
There are 2 distinct sets of footprints approaching the chapelle, but only one leaving. All are of the same size and soul.
やはりそうだ。
One from when I set out to meet Dingo, one from when I went back after she failed to show up, but then one from now when I returned. My footprints are the only ones to mar the earth. In other words,
初めから計画的にリンゴを襲うつもりだった。
they erased both Dingo's prints and their own. My guts boil again at the knowledge that this was not spontaneous, but a carefully planned assault.
くそ！
Punching the wall doesn't help to disperse my anger, and I return to the dorms feeling thoroughly despondent. Back in the dark, silent lobby, I slump my shoulders. The lights are off in the aquarium, and the fish are sleeping. There's nothing to soothe my distress at my own worthlessness. I make my way unsteadily to the shoe lockers, wanting some small reminder of Dingo. The cute little shoes are plastered with mud. Dirt both clings to the soles and is splattered across the surface of her shoes, bringing to mind painful images of her dragging her foot back through the wet earth.
僕のせいだ。
I thought that even if people were ignoring her now, things would smooth over with time. I thought that all I had to do was stick with Yageki-kun's suggestion until then.
私の見込みが甘いせいだ。
Clenching my fists. My fists! Clenching my fists so hard my nails leave red crescents in my palms, I finish my confession. 2 typos to that. And that's the story of what happened a few days prior. I look at the 2 girls who've been listening to my confession.
そんなことが。
だいたい耳にした通りだな。
Yageki-kun's gaze had remained fixed on the page, but now she closes her book and strokes her chin as she stares at me.
佐々木妹が襲われた話の流れは噂で流れているのとそう変わりない。泥で汚れた靴や足跡が消されてたってのは初耳ですけどね。
安楽椅子探偵は 犯人が分かったかい？
With a feline smile, Yagaki-kun nods in the affirmative. Both Takasaki-kun and I lean forward eagerly.
犯人は七不思議の一つ、鐘楼のルーガルーですよ。
The who?
狼男が犯人だ。
She declares cheerfully.
そんなことは分かっているよ。
I tell her. The werewolf of the bell tower. It's the hottest topic in school right now.
それってリンゴさんが言っているのよね。自分を襲った犯人が狼のような毛並みを持った怪物だって。
そう、今やウェンディゴの影も形もないルーガルーにとって変わられた鐘楼のルーガルー。
The shapeshift of the dorms, Bloody Mary, the goddess of truth, the green hookman, the wandering Wendigo of the woods. To join the ranks, another old character from the Seven Mysteries has been dragged out anew.
だがもちろん狼男が犯人なわけはない。
Ringo Sasaki is covering for the real culprit. Her kindness won't permit her to voice the truth, that another student assaulted her out of jealousy. And so she created this character from her own knowledge of the Academy's Seven Mysteries to pin the blame on.
でも聖堂にそんな怖い逸話があったなんて驚いたわ。聖堂にしか現れない七不思議の怪異なのでしょ。
まあな、森をさまようウェンディゴよりも鐘楼のルーガルーの方が襲われる場所にしたらうなずける。聖堂はもう森ではないしな。
Something feels a little off about her smile as she responds.
君もリンゴがルーガルーに襲われたと思っているのかい？
まさか。
それじゃあ
I'm about to ask her how she can possibly smile about it, but before I can,
ただこいつは怪我の巧妙だと思っていますよ。
she goes on.
怪我を負って何がいい結果だと言うんだ。
おっと、そんなに睨まないでくださいよ。ただ今までとは空気が変わったってことを言いたかったんですよ。
何を？
学院のみんなもルーガルーに襲われたなんて本気で信じちゃいないでしょ。今まで佐々木妹に辛く当たっていたものも距離を取っていたものも今度の一件で留飲が下がった。いや違うな、かわいそうってな風潮になった。
怪我人に強く当たっていては自分が悪者になるってことか。
ま、そういうことです。これで佐々木妹の状況も好転するでしょう。
Kasaki-kun nods with comprehension, and I...
怪我させられたことには業腹だが。
As Yagaki-kun says, just may be a case of good coming out of evil. However,
許す許さないは別の話だ。
Ringo may be covering for them, but that doesn't change the fact that the person who hurt her is still here at the academy. The victim herself brought up a supernatural culprit, the werewolf of the bell tower. As such, the possibility of it being an intruder has been eliminated, and the faculty seems to be taking a wait-and-see approach. But I'm not gonna settle for that.
狼狩りだ。
Ooh! Yes! Time to find a werewolf. In this closed-off village. Wait, no, wrong game. Time to go wolf hunting. Sure, I got myself all fired up over it, but
参ったな。
I hadn't reckoned with the fact that my ostracization would prove such an encumbrance. Jesus Christ, game, please give me a break. I want to hear what people have to say, but they're not coming to me. A small fry afraid of the big scary cat food. Since I arrived at the academy, or rather since I decided to be the person I am today, I always had people around me, so I can endure the situation for a little while.
今まで特に自分から話しかけようとは思わなかったものな。
Because I've been prudent, I've got through without having to face up to the reality I've been avoiding. Since I still heard anything of importance, and I received daily correspondences, I hadn't seen it myself. I look out at the dormitory building, huddling in on itself under the wintry skies, and heave a heavy sigh.
何をやっているの？
Huh! You still talking to me? Falling in my own fecklessness, I hear a voice from behind me and scratch my neck as I sluggishly turn around.
分かっているよ。そんなにせかさないでも行くさ。
急がないとみんな寄宿舎へ戻ってしまうわ。
ああ。
さあ、早く向かいましょう。
What's happening? I had an eternal yes, I get it, Nini. She's the one who's been avoiding me and who I've been going out of my way to avoid. Why is she taking my hand right now? Let's rewind a bit. Yeah, please? Please? I was at the chapel where Ringo was attacked, fully resolved to go werewolf hunting. I'd gone back first thing in the morning and thoroughly scrutinized the area all over again. A few days had passed, so by this point even my own footprints had disappeared, but with my camera in hand I had searched around the building to see if the attack had left anything behind. I'd made walk faster of it than I'd had in the dark on the night of the incident, but in the end I still couldn't find anything that might help pinpoint the culprit. In the afternoon I attempted to gather testimonies from other students, but had been forced to acknowledge that their reticence? How do you say that?
Reticence.
Reticence. Okay, I was close enough. Reticence toward me was even more pronounced than I had realized. Classes had ended without making any progress. Then, after quickly dealing with various matters at the Council of Nicaea, I'd returned to my investigation. And that was when, feeling eyes watching me from a fixed distance, I took myself off to a secluded area.
姿を見せろ。つけているのは分かっている。
I called out to my pursuer from within the rose bushes, but received no response.
僕を監視しているのは何のためだ。
Still nothing.
リンゴを害したものか。
There was still absolutely no response from whoever was following me.
これで私の気のせいだったら病気をこじらせたおかしなやつみたいだな。
I picked up a pair of gloves that had been left behind from pruning the bushes, turned one inside out, and used it to roll them both into one ball.
一応言っておく。避けた方がいいぞ。
And imitating famed pitcher Choji Murata, whom Yaegaki can talk so passionately about, I swung my leg like a pendulum and launched a bolt of gloves at my target bush.
でもあの時は驚いたわ。急に投げてくれた。
She gave you 3 chances to reveal yourself. Then he says as we walk to the next club. After class, we'd come to the club building to ask around for information.
正直、常ならしない行動だけどね。つけ回されて少し気が立っていたんだよ。
つけ回したなんて話しかける機会を伺っていたの。だってその
She stops, her cheeks rosy red.
譲り葉の頬を叩いてしまったから顔を合わせづらくて。
Her words freeze me to the spot too. I hadn't expected her to bring that up now.
いや、こいつはこういうやつだった。
A cynical smile rises to my face. She's always had a way of ruffling my feathers.
叩いたことやっぱり怒っているの。
違う。変わらないことが嬉しいんだよ。
変わらない。
温室で僕へリンゴを襲った犯人を見つけるための手助けをしたいって言い出したことだよ。僕ならそんな申し出はできない。
佐々木りんごさんが怪我をしたのは私のせいもあるのだもの。襲われたと聞いて黙ってはいられないわ。
She makes a sign of the cross over her chest.
私が譲り葉と佐々木りんごさんとの仲を認めるとみんな言っていれば。
Regret permeates her every word, and I can tell, even without peeping through the windows of her eyes, that she really means it.
仲を認める。
The words shake something deep within me. If I'm not careful, I could let slip those decisive words. However,
ありがとう。正直手を貸してもらえて助かる。今の僕は敵役だ。
I force myself to speak jokingly, and she puts her hand to her mouth to cover an elegant laugh.
別に敵だなんて思っていないと思うわ。ただみんな戸惑っているだけよ。
属するものかどうか決めあぐねている。
Perhaps she didn't hear me, as the next moment she tugs on my sleeve.
さあ、リンゴさんのためにも次のクラブへ向かいましょう。
My heart leaps at the feel of her hand on my sleeve, and joy and guilt plague me as I allow her to drag me along. It's like, what word is that? I can't see the first letter. It's joy. Ooh, Taking the cup from her, I sip on the coffee Needy made for
落ち
us.
着くな。
While I don't particularly like it black, the bitterness and the perfect temperature warm my cold body and revive my mind.
コーヒーは心を穏やかにさせてくれる。
I have never been able to get into coffee. Just doesn't taste good to me. Not at all. No matter what kind.
心の栄養としてよ。それで別れて話を聞き出すとなってから誰とお話ししてきたの？
The smell and taste of coffee to be rather vile. Yeah, no, I get it. I do... Like, I don't know. I like hot chocolate. And if you, I don't know, drink coffee with milk and sugar, you're like, oh, it's sweeter that way. But still... I still don't like the taste. Knowing that it was proving difficult for me to get information alone, she suggested we work together. So it's a natural question.
そろそろ養護教諭が帰ってしまう時間だったのでね。
Working together with Needy had cleared my head, and that's where the idea had come to me. I realized that instead of my fellow students, I could be asking the faculty, both the teachers and other staff employed at the academy.
そう、確かに先生方なら。
一生徒の恋愛事情には首を突っ込んでこないだろ。で、養護教諭からは深夜12時近くにいちごくんに連れられたリンゴを治療したと言質を取った。
Ooh.
怪我の具合はひどい捻挫。しばらくは歩けないほど重傷だそうだ。
そう、よほど襲われた時慌てたのでしょうね。
深夜の聖堂での待ち合わせ。ロケーション的にはゴシックホラー映画でありがちな一場面だものな。
Which is exactly why I can't forgive it. I've openly nudged Needy for her hand, and she takes out a file on the Academy's almanacs and spreads it open on the desk.
私が調べたのは鐘楼のルーガルーの言い伝えよ。年間でも調べてみたけれど、ルーガルーについての表記はほとんどないわ。
ああ、僕も調べた。確かに他の七不思議と比べて驚くほど少ない。
だから長く勤務されている教諭やスタッフの方に話を聞いてみたの。すると話が聞けたのは聖堂に住む狼男で出会うとさらわれるということ。
Half the stories are just being taken away. Most of the 7 mysteries are just about being taken away if you encounter them. I tried to take a picture of the cat just now because he's right behind me for once, and just lying there, but I cannot seem to get a good picture. I'm so sad.
今までの七不思議の怪異と一緒だ。
でもなんというかお話のディテールが薄いの。ただ出会うとさらわれるとだけ。一人だけ真夜中に鳴らないはずの鐘の音が聞こえるときにルーガルーが現れると聞いたけれど。
一人だけなら確かな要素でなく、よくある怪談話の尾ひれのように思えるな。
私もそう思ったわ。この鐘楼のルーガルーだけゴシのようなものがない。
I know it. Drinking my coffee, I turn to the glaring question.
なぜ今さら鐘楼のルーガルーという七不思議が。
確かにリンゴが狼男に襲われたと言ったとはいえ、噂が浸透するのが早すぎる。
Until now, the apparition seemed to have been relegated to a side note in some dusty almanacs. So how did it take root amongst the student population so fast?
ねえ、ゆずりはもう一度聖堂を見に行ってみましょう。
I don't particularly want to go with Needy to the place where Dingo and I shared many a secret date, but...
さあ、見聞を終えたらまたコーヒーを入れてあげるから。
Shh, please stop giving me coffee, lady. She says brightly, and there's no way I can argue.
この石畳のところで譲り葉を待っていて襲われた。
Narrowing my eyes against the cold red remnants of the day's sun, I stare up at the chapelle.
鐘楼のルーガル。身を潜めると言っても聖堂周りの森か地下劇場くらいしかないだろうに。
鐘楼には鐘を鳴らす機械はあるのだろうし、機械を置くスペースがあるのなら。
I knock my heel against the ground where once only my footprints had remained.
無理だな。鍵は教諭方が厳重に保管しているし、鐘楼に通じる扉は年に一度整備の際にしか開かない。
After looking around the area for the umpteenth time, Nidhi puts her hand to her cheek, her eyes narrowed in thought.
やっぱりおとぎ話のような印象ね。
実がなさすぎる。
ええ、譲り葉の話を聞くと余計にそう思えてきたわ。例えば、そうね、夜遅くに聖堂で相引きするような人を咎めるために流したとか。
耳が痛い。
ごめんなさい。でもしてはいけないことを暗に咎めるための装置のような気がするの。
A what now?
夜爪を切ると親の死に目に会えないとか。
How they say? Who says that? I've never heard that before in my life. What the fuck? Huh?
それって昔は明かりが薄暗かったから深爪しないようにするための。
Probably.
ええ、そのものつまり方便よ。別の例としてあげるなら、鐘楼に登ろうとする生徒が多かったので学院側で流したとか。
Me when I gaslight someone to thinking something is a common I was like, what? We're getting into conspiracy theory territory here. I laugh, but her brows furrow and she regards me reproachfully.
茶化しているわけじゃない。だが実際として襲われたんだ。夜更かしをする子供にお化けが出るぞと脅かす話で済んでいない。
I remind her that someone really was hurt. Plus, the culprit left no prints at the scene of the crime.
足跡が。
用意周到な相手さ。まさか足跡を消すことで幽霊が相手だと思う。
A cynical smile tugs at the corners of my lips, but
そう、譲り葉の足跡だけが。
seeing the full form between her brows and the way she touches her ear, I sure tell that she's deep in thought. I feel happy.
こんなにも親身になってくれるなんて。
Having my best friend here with me, the same as ever, serves to bring a little tranquility just to the stormy seas of my heart. In my efforts to solve the case of the werewolf of the bell tower, I've gathered plenty of information. I also have several clues to work with. However, like the scattered pieces of a puzzle, they still don't form a complete picture. I can see what the picture should look like, but it's distorted and hardly something I can show to others at this point. Scarfing down a late lunch, I turn the pieces over in my head, trying to decide which to place down first. There are a few possible candidates, but they all seem too big for the space, too unrealistic. Then,
昼食に集中しないと八重垣くんにどやされるな。
I've heard her say that meals are sacred and deserve to be enjoyed independent of anything else that's going on. Being distracted by something else while eating is apparently rude, and I agree with her. After lunch?
せっかくの BLT サンドだ。しっかり味わっていただかないとな。
Bacon, lettuce, tomato, and mayo. Perfect BLT sandwich. It's Sunday, so I can take a leisurely lunch in the gazebo without worrying about the time. One of life's little luxuries, or it would be, usually.
そういえば。
I remember sharing sandwiches here with her, back at the very beginning of autumn. Crisp bacon and crunchy lettuce and tomato. Fragrant coffee.
コーヒー
The aroma really is in the air, and I look around for the
やっ
source.
ぱりここにいたのね。
A soft, gentle voice addresses me.
ネリ
私もご一緒していいかしら。
The memory of that night when she rejected me raised its unwelcome head, making me want to turn away out of pure awkwardness. But my best friend is smiling at me like nothing's changed.
ー。ああ、 食べ始めたところだ。まだたくさんある。
This man melts my heart and I give in. Of course you do.
すまないね。鐘楼のルーガルー事件のあらましを聞かせてしまって。神聖な食事中に無粋だった。
Oh, there's something in my eye. I told her about how I went to meet Dingo at the chapelle, how I'd waited and waited before going to her room, how I then learned that she'd been attacked in front of the chapelle, and how she'd suffered a horrible sprain to her ankle. I told her about anything that stood out, the chronology of the events, and the mud on Dingo's shoes, how the prints around the chapelle had been erased. I told nearly all of it. I found it easier when I'm processing my thoughts to talk them through out loud with someone, and I have a habit of getting carried away like it. Although I suppose it's easy to talk about precisely because it's with Nini.
足跡。
She murmurs, touching her earlobe, a sign that she's deep in thought.
ルーガルーの正体は分かったかい？
She turns a hazy gaze on me like she's awakening from a deep sleep, then blinks to clear the clouds away.
ごめんなさい。少し気になることがあって。
She says.
小さい頃はよく考えをまとめるときに私の方が譲りはや何度もお話を繰り返し聞かせていたわね。
誰かに概要を話すと客観的に見えるような気がする。今や君だけでなく僕自身の癖のようなものになっているよ。
Still curious as to what exactly was bugging her, I focus on enjoying the delicious coffee.
神に祈ったらいいわ。きっと救ってくださる。
I will be doing no such thing. She genuinely means it, but the suggestion makes me uncomfortable. I suddenly don't feel like continuing this conversation. You do that! Have a good night! Get some rest!
違うね。神様が救うのは足元だけだ。
譲りは
Girl, you started it. It's not something I should have said in front of a devout Christian, but I don't feel like taking it back. Needy's reproachful gaze remains trained on me as she sips her coffee.
そういえばウェンディゴの件はどうなったの？
She changes the subject. She must know that debating religion with me would simply be a waste of time.
ウェンディゴ。ウェンディゴね。確かに以前はよく聞いた噂話だ。だがここ最近はとんとご無沙汰だね。
まるで鐘楼のルーガルーにとって変わられて食べられてしまったみたい。
I can't help but chuckle at her graphic phrasing. Still,
森をさまようウェンディゴか。片場領長にはもう餌付けはしていないと言質を取った。
ねえ譲りは時間があればだけどウェンディゴ探しに出かけてみない？
時間はないと言いたいが現状手詰まりなのは確かだ。
I hesitate for a moment.
そうだね。頭を冷やすためにも季節外れのハイキングと行こう。
The forest is still clinging to its autumn colors, but the air now offers a chill that heralds a change of season. Feeling the icy sting on my cheeks, I brush my fingers across my skin. I'm surprised to discover how cold I am.
そろそろ冬服の出番だな。
ねえ譲りは
なんだい？
佐々木りんごさんの怪我ひどいの？
そうだな。ただの捻挫という
The
よりは
musicians fighting each other now. They really are.
しばらくは教室でなく自室で自習するそうだよ。
そう。
She asked me if it was Ningo's right leg that she hurt.
足首の捻挫だな。僕の弟が以前サッカーの試合で同じ箇所を痛めただろう。具合。
そう。
What are you seeing? Her eyes are narrowed and she's touching her ear as she's wont to do when deep in thought. I really wish she would pay more attention when she's walking.
つまずいて怪我をするぞ。
Although she mumbles agreement, she doesn't pull herself out of her musings. And as I warned, she almost trips up several times on our way to the spot where Dome Mother Katabami had been feeding the raccoon. Thankfully, though, we make it there in one piece, and when we arrive, They're at the base of a particularly large tree.
これって誰かがここで野生動物へ餌付けをしているようだ。
Bits of vegetables from the school allotments are strewn around the ground in the exact same place as before.
確か以前学院生徒が餌付けをしていると。
ああ、それはすでに教諭方へ報告し注意済みだよ。
なら言葉が届いていなかったようね。
She mutters with a frown, however.
こいつはどういうことだ。
At first it had been a group of students looking after the injured raccoon. Then, after Demi found out and told off, Mother Katabami had released it back into the forest. But due to her kind nature, she kept on bringing food for it until it was fully healed.
片場寮長が釘を刺されたことで自分では世話ができなくなった。
Why would she do that though?
寮長がどうかしたの？
え？
もしかして餌付けを行っているのが片場寮長だというの？
Did I accidentally voice my inner thoughts? That's not like me. That's very much like you. She says so many things out loud and she doesn't realize. Guess I'm feeling more hard-pressed than I realized. I've made a big blunder not being more aware of myself.
きちんと話して。私に話せないことなの？
Her eyes shine with sincerity.
誰にも話さないと。
Knowing that she's not going to let this go, I heave a sigh at my oversight and go on to tell her the whole story.
そう、片場寮長が。
ウェンディゴの正体がロマンがないもので悪いが、この件は。
ええ、黙っているわ。きちんと反省してもう行わないとおっしゃっているのだし。
目下のところそいつが問題になってくるな。
The only sound is a dry crunch of leaves beneath our feet as we make our way back to the school buildings.
片場寮長には再度尋ねてみるよ。寮長でなく生徒らが行っているのだとしても。
黙っていてほしい。今は大ごとにしたくないよね。
二階屋の会の選挙も迫っているからね。
Aye, Raiders, welcome in. Hi, cool. I'm new. I like the color pink vision of us and share pictures. We're currently playing flowers. Hello. I was streaming. Oh, Moonstone Island. Hope you had fun. Hello. A Pikachu for the Raiders, of course. Pikachu. Pika. Pikachu. Hello. And thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How was Moonstone Island? We're currently trying to find a werewolf.
白羽さんに余計な辛労をかけたくないものね。
I nod and nearly smiles.
この選挙が終わって二階屋の会主催のクリスマス会を終えたら
Ooh, Christmas
私た
party.
ち2年生はお役ごめんね。
Thank you, Berry. I saved. I can actually save for once. It's a prospect that fills me with both sadness and relief, and I find myself lost for a response. I spoke with Omata Katabami again, but
片場寮長も寝耳に水といった風だったな。
let's go! Oh, they both broke at the same time? Oh. That's unfortunate to hear. Actually, let me look something up while I'm thinking of the right game. Moonstone Island is the one that came out relatively recently, right? Yeah. Yeah. I tried that game, but it wasn't for me. I tried that game, but I ended up refunding it because I could not get into it. This is going well. Well, about as well as... So, our girlfriend got assaulted and sprained her ankle while she was waiting to meet up with us, and now we're trying to find the culprit, and there's a rumor going around that there's a werewolf in this chapel, but it's who's responsible for the assault, which is like, well, I don't think there's an actual werewolf. That's probably just someone who's using the cover, because it must have been done by human hands. And the cat just jumped down. Saying still a part of everything broke. Oh no! I'm sorry to hear that. Yes, our girlfriend. Yes. So this is the fourth and final mystery for this game. What really happened? From 0 to 100, yeah. I used my mind reading powers. Okay. To the fullest extent to peer into the windows of her eyes, but her inner room looked exactly the same. Even if she was lying to cover for someone, I would have been able to spot something. Of course, a lack of change can be just as telling when intuiting what someone's thinking, but... I continue my internal monologue. It's not like they're making any great mischief. In fact, if you ignore the fact that it goes against school rules, they're actually doing a good deed. Even so, there's something about this benevolent Wendigo that I just can't shake. Staring up at the clear winter sky, I find something niggling at me. But what? Just then I hear the faint ring of footsteps and turn to look up the corridor. In the distance, I see a familiar figure raise its hand and glide gracefully toward me.
Oh, 久しぶりです。
Oh,
やっちろ先輩。
hey!
久しぶりというには、いや、立っていたかもしれないな。
She elegantly covers her mouth to hide her smile. I warned her that if she spotted talking with me, it could affect her chances in the election.
そんなことで落ちるなら落ちても構いません。やっちろ先輩とリンゴさんは何も悪いことをしていないじゃないですか。
She gets it. She says that like it's completely natural, and I feel my heart clench in my chest.
スオ君が頼りにするのもわかる。頼れる相棒だ。
スオさんが私のこと頼れるって言っていたんですか？
いや、僕の感想だよ。客観的に見てもいいアミティエ同士だと思うがね。
Oh! She seems both disappointed and pleased at the same time. Ask if she's here to see the Dawn Mother.
ええ、実は会長選に立候補する
The
条件が
panel.
最後の討論会だけになったのを報告しようと思いまして。
3 typos today.
ほう、2つ目の難関を通ったことは聞いていたが、3つ目も通っていたとはね。
はい、教職員から1名以上の推薦を受ける。推薦状は片場寮長からいただいたんです。
I nod. Actually, I'd figured she'd get hers from Sister Basquiat, but maybe she wanted to avoid any implication of unfairness in going to her own homeroom teacher, and so went to Dawn Mother Katabami instead.
寮長として注目されがちだが、2年生の礼法やガーデニングの授業の教鞭をとっているし。
Yet she doesn't get a sprite because she's not that important. She gets mentioned every game.
最後の難関、討論会ですけど、過去どんな議題が挙げられたとか教えてもらうというのは。
さすがにそいつは無理な相談だ。僕の時も事前に何を議題にするか教えてもらえなかったし。
そうですよね。
I writes through dejectedly. Given that I owe her for standing up for Dingo, I decide I can spill some of the beans, at least provided it doesn't give her an unfair advantage.
議題や流れは話せないが、審査するのは通例、教職員が2名、2回屋の会の者が3名。そのうち4名が弁論を聞いてふさわしいと認めればいい。
5名中4名ですか？それってとても狭きもんじゃ。
だから最後の難関なのさ。教職員も2回屋の会の者もランダムに選ばれる。
Oh.
ということは真面目に答えれば大丈夫なのですね。
3つまでの立候補要項を達成することができる生徒はままいるが、最後の討論会だけは10人受けて1人くらいの難易度だった。
Oh, yikes.
それって全然大丈夫じゃないじゃないですか。
議題は一つだけではないし、おっと、口を滑らせた。忘れてくれ。だがまあ平気だろう。スオ君は僕と同じ匂いがするしね。
スオーさんが
1年前の僕よりも優秀だよ、彼女は。以前は頼り投げなところもあったが、今は確固たる芯もできた。
そうですか。
I thought she'd be happy to hear that, but instead she lowers her gaze to her feet. I ask her what's the matter.
スオさんが生徒会選挙に立候補すると聞かされた時、驚いたんです。
Yeah.
普段のスオさんなら目立つことをしたくないって性格だし。
私との約定だ。生徒会長になった暁に学院の謎を教える。
でもスオさんの意志は固くて、私彼女のスオさんの一番のアミティエでいたいから支えることにしたんです。
副会長になって支えようとした。
はい、私の立候補の理由は一緒にいたいから。でもスオさんが会長職を求める理由が知りたくて、でも聞けなくて。
It's only been 2 hours and 30 minutes? Yeah. She'd probably regret asking. If Sukun didn't answer, then she'd think she didn't trust her, and if she did answer...
去ったアミティエの行方を知るためだものな。
Hanabishi-kun's never going to be number one. I empathize strongly with Kika Hanabishi.
それでいいと思う。尋ねたいけれど尋ねられないというのは臆病だからじゃない。君問うことでスオ君を傷つけてしまうかもしれないと。
はい、でも
自分に理由を吐露してくれないことに胸苦しさを覚える。それもわかる。
八代先輩、
スオ君は聡明だ。今は語るべきではないと判断しているのだろう。そして話せる時が来たら一番の親友の君へ思いを語ってくれるだろう。
She closes her eyes for a moment as though chewing over my words, then nods decisively.
ありがとうございます。少し心のモヤモヤが晴れました。
あれだけ話して少しかい？
やっぱり八代先輩はすごいです。大人だわ。私も年を重ねればいろいろなことが見えてくるのかしら。
父が言っていたが、年を重ねて40にして惑わずという言葉。不惑とあるが今が一番ワクワクしていると言っていたぞ。
それってダメってこ
It's
と
a
じゃ。
pretty bright screen as well, though.
ワクワクってなんでそんな楽しげなんですか？
Michelle laughed. It's been a while since I laughed out loud and a few my spirits live.
そうだ、片踏寮長へ報告してからリンゴさんのお見舞いに伺おうと思っているのですけど、ご一緒にどうですか？
そいつはいい提案だな。
今くらいなら大丈夫かな。
大丈夫とは？
足の怪我がひどくてずっと授業を休んでいるんです。それで今まで距離を取っていた子たちも悪いことをしたって。
So Ringo's also been able to patch things up with her classmates who had been giving her the cold shoulder. That's yet another load off my mind.
お化けに驚いて捻挫したという話ですけど、怪我の巧妙ですよね。
Today has a so good flashbacks and honestly, I think the worst CG, not in terms of like, not that it's not pretty or anything, but in terms of sudden brightness on the screen, is that one CG in the forest, because it's just orange all over, and I love orange. But if you go from the rest of all of the scenes to just that one, it's just in your face.
ああ。だが相手が怪異とはいえ許せそうにない。
Seems like the good-natured class president has swallowed the rumors that it was a monster that came at Dingo without question.
でも煙 クジャラの狼男って、さすがにそんなお化けいるわけないですよね。
さて、見間違いということもあるかもね。
見間違い。そうですね。ケムクジャラとかなら動物が突然現れたのを見間違えたのかもしれないですし。
That makes me think of the injured raccoon and the Wendigo.
襲うでなく驚かせたか。それなら罪を。
どうしたのですか？
いや、見方を変える。
Nikakun's words have dug loose a fragment of a thought lodged somewhere deep in my
視
mind.
点の変換、被害者と犯人、切り分けた捉え方をすれば。
The previously scattered pieces come together and fall silently into place. Looking at it that way, it all makes sense. But this means...
八代先輩。
いや、すまない。
Thank you for the bed
ぼーっ
night
としてしまった。
time.
保健室へ行きます？
大丈夫。低血圧だからたまにあるんだ。まず片場寮長への報告を済ましてきたまえ。僕はここで待っていよ。
Christianity, thank you. Putting restlessly with her braids, she looks up at me worriedly, but then...
わかりました。すぐ済ませるので、
Then I cut you off accidentally, sorry. And then she trots into the doll mother's room.
さて、どうしたものかね。
Her words have brought me to my conclusion. I still haven't been able to substantiate whether it's correct or not, but I think I'm probably on the money. Having found the key to the mystery is all well and good, but the new burden this knowledge has placed on me has me wanting to tear my hair out. Oh boy. To be honest, I've become fairly disenchanted about identifying the culprit behind the werewolf of the bell tower incident. And that's because after conversing with Dika-kun a few days earlier, I now have reason to believe I know both the identity and the motive of the culprit. I've been agonizing over whether it's best to keep quiet and say nothing, or whether I should confront them. However... Ooh, that's...
面倒なことになった。
Some people we've never seen before. What the hell? The counts of Nikkei had been spurred into action, resolving to search for the culprit behind the werewolf incident. And all the while I've been still wondering whether or not I should condemn them for the crime.
さあ、八代さん、どうぞ。
So I told the counts I would inform them of what I knew about the circumstances surrounding the incident. Sister Basquiat is also here as a representative of the teaching staff. Along with the vice president, Nidian the Komikado, who's gazing at me somberly.
さて、何から話すべきか。
Of course, I don't intend to reveal the whole story while I'm still wavering. Instead, I plan to take a leaf out of Yaegaki-kun's book and reveal enough information and conjectures to convince my audience while obscuring the rest.
すべて初めからお話ししてください。
With that encouragement, in front of the entire council of Nikkei, I start explaining how I'd set out to meet Dingo at the chapel. I tell them how I'd waited and waited, and then, finding it strange that she didn't show up, I'd gone to her room. Of course, we'd been having regular secret dates at the chapel for a while, but I can't exactly reveal that in front of Sister Basquiat. For her part, Sister Basquiat doesn't seem particularly intent on finding fault, and lets me continue with a brief warning not to act imprudently. Going back to my story, I told them how, when I went to Dingo's room, I learned that she'd been attacked by a werewolf and injured. To help guide their thinking, I laid out the chronology in great detail and emphasized the severity of the sprain she sustained as she tried to flee.
襲われた。悪意ある第三者がいるように聞こえますね。
Looking out at my audience as they discuss the theories amongst themselves, I spread my arms dramatically.
そして、鐘楼のルーガルーと森をさまようウェンディゴの事件はつながっている。
I declare. Looks like I've successfully shaped the narrative in such a way that they're open to this unexpected revelation.
それはどういうことです？
晩秋に起きたウェンディゴの事件ですが、保護し餌を与えていたことが始まりであり理由だった。
Werewolf. Yes. Of course, they don't know that it was Doll Mother Katabami who was behind it, but they've heard about the students who were keeping the animal in the doll room to start with. I explained how the students have continued to feed vegetables to the creatures even after it was released back into the woods, and that I had carried them in a white sack. And how the sack had come to be mistaken for the Wendigo of the Seven Mysteries, which was described as a white shadow.
そんなことが。
学院の規律においては非難されることだが善行だ。それほど非難されることではないですよね、バスキア教諭。
No. Technically, since the werewolf is responsible for someone we care about getting hurt, I don't think we're gonna be kissing any werewolves tonight. Getting the hint that she shouldn't bring up Doma, the Katabami's involvement, she goes along with me, albeit half-heartedly.
この善行だが一つ厄介なことを引き起こしてしまった。野菜を定期的に与えたことで餌付けしてしまったんだよ。
餌付け？
この学院には冬になっても食べられる餌があると野生動物は知ったのさ。
まさか。
そう、佐々木りんごが言った。ケムクジャラというのは野生動物を見かけ驚き。
And in her panic, she hurt her ankle, I add. My audience turned to one another, discussing the consistency of this plausible explanation. However,
今の話が落としどころだということが分かった。
there's no culprit to pin the blame on. It was driven by the actions of a well-intended group of students. The only culprit is a wild animal. It didn't even come after her. She was simply startled by the sight of it. It's an awfully convenient explanation, but it hurts no one.
一つ質問があります。
どうぞ。
佐々木さんの怪我ですが、拝見したところ随分とひどい捻挫でした。一歩間違えれば折れているほどの。驚いてくじいたにしては。
She trails off, and following the thread of my argument, she finds the conclusion starts to unravel.
あの日はひどい雨が降っていました。驚き滑ったのならどうでしょうか。
Mr. Basquiat nods slightly at my suggestion, but then carries on with another question.
佐々木りんごさんはケムクジャラの狼男だとおっしゃいました。毛に覆われていることに関して言えば。
She trails off, but her question is implicit. How could she have mistaken an animal for a human?
バスキア教諭が食い下がるのは予想外だが。
Still, I have a few ideas in mind for how to get people off the trail of the werewolf, if I lead her down one of those other paths. A flurry of whispers catches my attention. For a moment I think it's because my silence has got people agreeing with Sister Basquiat's doubts, but that's not it. It's because of Nini Komikado. She stood up from her seat and staring at me with teary eyes.
皆さんにお話ししておかなければなりません。
Oh. My best friend. She keeps going.
八代会長がおっしゃった佐々木りんごさんが怪我を負った事件ですが、
For some reason my mind's eye is filled with the vision of a desolate wasteland.
今まで語ったことは優しい嘘なのです。
Well, that's one way to destroy everything we were trying to go for. The wasteland scene shifts, a stormy wind blowing from the leaden skies to lash cold rain against my cheeks.
佐々木りんごさんを突き飛ばし怪我を負わせたのは
Stop.
醜い嫉妬にまみれた
Girl! Lying in bed, I listen to the sound of a cold wind rattling against the window. I'm filled with an unnatural fatigue, like after catching a bad cold. Lacking the will to move, I simply stare up at the ceiling. The absence of any inner drive has me thinking for the first time about how heavy our earthly bodies really are. Torso, arms, legs. The air seems to coil about them like lead. Lead? Lead. How do you pronounce this type of lead? Making even rolling over in bed feel like a feat. And why do I feel so utterly exhaustedly immoral?
ネリー。
It's all because of the charade in evening yesterday. Nina Komikado had announced that she was the culprit behind the werewolf of the bell tower incident. Despite their shock, the council members had questioned her rationally. How things went down, how she'd come at Dingo, and why, if she was the culprit, she hadn't admitted to it immediately.
恐ろしかったのです。
With that statement, she launched straight into her explanation of her crime. Cutting me off when I tried to stop her, she scrupulously revealed the truth of the incident. It coordinated with my own rundown of the Wendigo incident, but bouncing those ideas off of her turned out to have backfired spectacularly. The description, replete with details only the perpetrator could possibly have known, served only to bolster her testimony. My cries to the contrary vanished into the ether.
私が無断で餌付けしていた動物を見られてしまったということが動機の一部ですが
The ghost of a smile flickered across her pained expression.
信用を取られてしまったという私の浅ましい嫉妬心が生んでしまったことなのです
She whispered hoarsely. Her words were absorbed by the walls of Iznik, fading away into stone-cold silence.
わかりましたこの国会は私が持ち帰らせていただきますコミカドネリネ副会長は沙汰があるまで謹慎を
Sister Basquiat's frigid words nearly turned to me with a smile like she'd been offered salvation.
自分がスイスを気取っていたせいで取り返しのつかないことになってしまった
My fault for trying to remain neutral, for trying to prevent the skates from tipping one way or the other, neither covering nor accusing the perpetrator. While I was busy thinking how I might smooth things over without assuming responsibility, the high tide threw back toward the far horizon. Switzerland! Because Switzerland is always very neutral in any and all situations. Superimposed on the ceiling, I see the spectre of Nina Komikado. It's like she's covering for the real werewolf. She must have determined the culprit from the information I gave her during my rundown of the incident. And then, just like I've been trying to do, she covered for them. However, when my strategy had been to pin it on something akin to an act of God, she chose to sacrifice herself.
イズニクで僕が犯人の名を挙げると思った
She had known my intentions, or that I'd been trying to put the whole thing to bed, and so she hastily fingered herself for the crime.
バカなやつだ
The effort of whispering the words out loud weighs me down even more. I feel like I'm made of lead that I'm about to sink into and be swallowed up by the mattress. Lead. Lead? Oh, I hate this. A knock sounds at my door. Without the willpower to even respond, I simply continue staring up at the ceiling.
失礼します
A voice accompanied by the sound of the door opening.
風大丈夫ですか
You have to go. Okay. Thank you for coming by. Ichigo Sasaki-kun's voice.
あの
There's a note of fear in her tone. I suppose seeing me in this apathetic doll-like state would do that.
眠れていないのですか
あ
そうですか病気早く治さなくちゃですけどそんなに眠れませんよね
Seemingly reassured by the sound of my voice, she's back to her usual self. But what's this about a cold? Oh, right.
仮病を使って休んで後輩にまで心配をかけて
リンゴもお見舞いに来たかったのですけどまだ怪我が完治してないので
無理はしない方がいい
でも
熱が出てつらい相手をしてはあげられない
My tone brooks no argument and renders her speechless. For a while, there's only the sound of the wind rattling against the window.
ゆずりは先輩
A shudder falls across my face, and I can tell that she's approached the bed. As I lie there stiffly like the Tin Woodman, she peers down at me worriedly.
翡翠もしていないのですねちゃんと食事をとっていますかやつれていますよ
I don't have the energy to respond. Through the vibrations of the air across my skin, I can feel her fidgeting. She's gearing up to something.
コミカド先輩ですが
黙れ今は何も話したくない帰ってくれ
She gasps, startled by my blunt admission of my feelings when she's so used to me acting a clown.
また来ます
The door thuds shut with ruthless
鍵を奪っ
finality.
て締め出したのは僕だ
I don't want to think about anything. Closing my eyes, I lock the door on myself. I do not know what gave me the idea that we would be getting closer to the ending this time around, because we're still not there. But I'm gonna take this chance before we get into another even longer spiel about it. This is a good point, I think. A good point to stop for tonight. Thank you for the pet. Ah, that's a good point, Izumi. Because next we still have to solve the mystery, like for real, because it's neither, like, it's not, it wasn't an accident, and it also wasn't needing it just because she took the fall for it just now. We still have to solve that mystery for real, and then there's another full chapter, and then we'll be at the end of the game. So I think we could manage it next time. 100 more hours? No, not 100. Yeah, it's been around, it's almost 3 hours. So I think we did well. I think we did well. We're gonna continue this game on Sunday stream, Sunday evening stream. Thanks for streaming. No, thank you for coming. We'll start a new game on Friday, Pocket Mirror. Which I honestly forgot whether it has any chasing sequences, because I will perish. But yeah, we'll see each other again on Friday for Pocket Mirror. Thank you for listening. No, thank you. And I'm gonna send you guys over to Sybil, who is currently playing Cassette Beasts and not Cassette Beats. I always thought the game was called Cassette Beats, but it's not actually called that. It's called Cassette Beasts, which makes way more sense if you consider what type of game it is, but I just never bothered to check. Here's the right message. Thank you so much for coming by tonight. Let me... wait, I haven't put on the ending song yet. There we go. Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you very, very soon. Good night. And bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye.